Anya, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the school board meeting for Osceola County School Board for Tuesday, April 6th to order. If you would, please join me in silencing your cell phones throughout the meeting. We begin our meetings with an invocation, which today will be led by Pastor Tim Wilder from the First Baptist Church of Kissimmee. Followed by that will be the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by John Boyd, our Director of Government Relations. Followed by a national anthem, which will be on the video monitors from the chorus students from the Osceola County School for the Arts. Followed by our mission statement, which will be read by Dr. Jane Respis, our Assistant Superintendent of Elementary Curriculum. And last but not least, Dr. Belinda Reyes, our Executive Director for Multicultural, will do our translation services. So if you would, please rise with me. Over here.
Is he outside?
I don't know.
Dr. Wilder?
Dr. Wilder, are you in the lobby by any chance? Yes, if you would.
Dear Lord, we just pray for your guidance and thank you for our blessings. And please help this board and staff, which has a tremendous responsibility for the community, do its work on their behalf. Amen.
What?
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I can't sing it, Mr. Chairman.
While Dr. Respis makes her way to the podium.
The Osceola Board we are inspiring all learners to reach their highest potential as responsible, productive citizens.
Thank you, Jane.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Melinda Reyes. I'm in Leadership Transitional Services. Buenas tardes a todos. Mi nombre es Melinda Reyes. Estoy aquí para proveer el servicio de transición.
Thank you, Dr. Reyes. Board's our portion for comments. We'll start, what I usually do to my left. Mr. Melendez, do you
Alright.
have any comments?
Yes, I'll get started here. Will Deputy Russ please come to the front with your contingency? I had Vivian, Commissioner Jenner from District 2. She donated money to the school district for my award recognition program. But unfortunately, she couldn't make it here at the last second. So I apologize, but Commissioner Jenner did support the program. And so a lot of folks know that I created an SRO's task force to kind of see what was the role of the SRO in our campus. And I tell you right now, as soon as I did that, I had SROs from all over calling me, saying, Joyce, you should see what they're doing at this school, at that school. And so I've never been lobbied harder than the gentleman here with Mr. Sheriff and Deputy, Russ. I tell you right now, Deputy Russ, when I saw, here's an Amazon gift card, by the way. I should warn you before I'm that kind of person, I just give away gifts before I formally give it to you. But he has a lunch program to meet with his kids. And he had over 40 reservations in 1 month alone. And so I know that it took a lot of effort with his teachers, with his staff working together. He didn't create that program on his own. But the fact is, he took the time to do that. And so when I actually visited his campus on Friday, we opened up a door, and I'm not exaggerating. Kids started coming up to him and started hugging him. They're like, hey, Deputy Russ. I was like, oh, wow, that melted my heart because, again, doing this SRO task force, and if you read the media, sometimes you believe that what exists and what is are two different things. And the reality is, I saw these kids warm up to you. You're a veteran police officer. You've been around for a long time. We appreciate everything you do. And so for that, Sheriff Deputy Russ, if you have anything that your guys want to say on your behalf.
Congratulations, proud of you, and school resource officers do a lot. You know, they provide security for our communities and the schools, and thank the board for recognizing one of ours. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We just feel so fortunate. We feel fortunate that he's a member of our Panda family and part of that team and helping our students to feel safe and secure so that they can learn to the best of their abilities.
Anything, Deputy, you want to say?
Well, I'd just like to follow up on what you said. I don't know if I changed your mind about what was going on at the schools, but I was glad to see that you saw what goes on on a daily basis. I was able to take Mr. Melendez to our ESE classrooms. He met all of the school counselors I deal with sometimes on a daily basis. I took him to see some of our 5th grade classrooms, the lunchroom. So I think you got a pretty good exposure of at least what goes on at Pleasant Hill Elementary.
As here for your service. Yes.
Great job.
Next up
Thank you very much.
is Mr. Hector Acosta from OTEC.
Thank you so much. Thanks for that.
Mr. Acosta is one of those gentlemen that never says no. And I tell you what, in the military, we always were told, don't volunteer for everything, because next thing you know, you don't know what you're going to say yes to. But I'm telling you, this gentleman was not one of the architects for Lockheed Martin, but he worked together with one of his fellow students, one of his fellow teachers. And Lockheed Martin, I got the chance to go there, actually had some of the employees there, and he brought his classroom there, and they're able to speak with them. I know he's big on the IT certificates. As a matter of fact, next week, we have like traditional, this Thursday, actually. This Thursday, there's going to be industrial certificate graduation ceremonies, because we feel that students get honored to graduate, but some of our students actually take a lot of time and effort to get certified in Adobe products, Microsoft, and things like that. So he actually invited me to attend that, and so he's spearheading that. He also spearheaded the USF program that aligned with our cybersecurity program and clubs. So again, he's somebody that not just teaches his classroom, but is constantly looking to take things to the next level. And so we thank you, Mr. Acosta. You want to say anything, or?
I was a tech for almost 17 years and switched to become a teacher 3 years ago. And really, it was a different experience. And I'm able to provide back to the students and prepare them for the future, because I have high schoolers and adults. And I try to give them the skill sets that they need to be successful. And my last class, they just finished 2 weeks ago, all the adults are now employed. They were employed before they got to be finished.
Thank you. All right. of course, Mr. Costa, you want your gift card?
Oh, thanks.
All right, and of course, the reason why we're all here is for our students. And so we got Ventura Elementary students here, we got Yasmin, and I don't want to mess up her last name, is it Murata? Oh, hey, I got it right. So Atakan Kalashway, so, will she come up here? And again, our students are the reason why we're here. We understand that through the pandemic, there were a lot of concerns, about, student safety, but also food. A lot of parents have lost their jobs. Some people working 2 jobs to get it because they reduced hours. When I found out that her parents had donated like boxes of food, she kind of took it on her own to say, hey, because another parent said yes, but I know the student was back there kickstarting it and just leading her students to go out there and really participate. And I'm pretty sure her staff can tell you the other wonderful things that she's done. And I'm so proud that, Ventura Elementary. And I was telling you, it was funny, I never saw her in person, so I went to go look for her. I was thinking elementary school. I'm looking down, I'm thinking, hey, there's a smaller student there, like, holy moly, she's about as tall as I am. So I'm like, it's amazing. So, taller, right? So it is a tall order, the fact that you care about other students, and that means a lot to me. Because as responsible citizens, we don't just grow up by ourselves. We grow up in a community where we depend on each other to be successful. So thank you so much for thinking about others, and thank you for your parents for really contributing to the Valencia family. Absolutely. Does our staff want to say anything?
Yes, I know Yasmin since she's been 5 years old. So this family is, this is what Ventura is about. So if you really come and see our school and see how our community is, this is what we're about. And now her brother's in 1st grade, so we get to see another Marathi grow up. It's pretty awesome. They're an awesome family in general, but I don't want to cry because she's been my baby since like kindergarten. So I appreciate everything that you've done for our community as well. So thank you.
Pleasure. Congratulations. Great.
I don't know if I want to make a student say anything because she worked hard enough, but if you do want to say anything, just.
I would like to say thank you very much. I am very, very grateful, and I love that I contribute and help our school where I grew up when I was in kindergarten. And I love that school very, very much. I just want to say thank you to all the staff members who helped me grow up to be who I am today.
Mr. Castillo? Or what, are you Julius, or is that it?
That's it.
Okay. Mr. Castillo?
Thank you, Julius.
Oh, yeah, do it.
All right, so we get to follow gift cards, okay. I only have positive comments. So it's been a while since we've had a meeting, so there's a lot to share, and I'm not going to take the entire meeting to share all of our positive comments. But I did want to give a big shout out to the community parents in Celebration K-8 specifically. So we have a program that's starting next year. It's a dual language immersion program, and we launched it, and it was very popular. And the parents really wanted to have this program for more of the kids. So I just wanted to give them a shout out for working with our district staff, working with the principal, working with Dr. Reyes to get this done. I'm always amazed at what people can do when they work together, and I wanted just to highlight that as, an example. Again, you've been highlighting examples of amazing community members. This is another way that our community works together. So I just wanted to say, you guys are awesome. Thank you for working with us. Thank you, Dr. Pace. Thank you, Dr. Belinda Reyes, for helping our students to gain, the access that they want for the immersion program. So very grateful to everyone, and I'm really excited about the program starting next year. That's all I have to say.
Okay, so I have some. I'm a very competitive person, and when Julius came up with a good idea, I decided I was going to steal it and make it my own. So I also have some presentations here for some people in my district. So I know that somebody is in traffic, but we'll do the other two, and then hopefully they'll get here. So let me bring up Annette Molina. Is Annette Molina here with her person? Can you introduce her? Yeah, where's Annette though? Did Annette come?
Miss Joseph came, Miss Joseph.
Okay, come on in, Ms. Joe. But, well, you didn't do the nomination, but come here, why don't you tell me, come on. Why don't you talk a little bit about
I would love
her?
to.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so this is Miss Joseph, and she's one of our fabulous Papa Star staff members, and she actually is assigned working in one of our units for students with autism. So something I can say about Miss Joseph is that she comes to work every day with a smile on her face, positive attitude, super flexible, and not only does she support Miss Jacino in her room with the students in there, she supports students campus-wide. She sees me on duty outside with students and she offers to help, gets kids where they need to go, breakfast, classroom, PE, doesn't matter. She will help, and that's why we nominated her, because she's such an asset, and we just wanted to take a moment to recognize you and say thank you.
Thank you very much for everything that you do. It's crazy that somebody gets nominated by not just the principal, but by other people who, it obviously shows that your reach at your school and in the community goes far and wide. So thank you very much for all you do.
Thank you.
And let me give you this. Thank you very much, thank you. Okay, and now, the nomination for Ms. Ray, while we're waiting for Tyler. So where's Michael? Michael Malone, did Michael come today?
Mr. Anaconda is here.
Okay, so this is somebody who is absolutely phenomenal, who I've actually met in one of my tours, but let me let you make the, why don't you tell us about your teacher here?
Ms. Reddit is an amazing discovery, an amazing addition to Horizon. In the short time that she's been here, she's helped create an amazing agriculture department, a great relationship with the students that on some of the students, we have never thought that ag would be something that to be interested in, which is interesting. But they have clung on to her, the relationship that she's built in that class, as well as students inside and outside of the classroom, not even just her ag students. You can see that she's just an amazing addition, and we can't wait to see what's gonna keep on going from her.
You know, she, one of the things that you notice in a classroom when you walk in and you're just a stranger, you just kind of like, you walk into a classroom, is how much students appreciate their teacher, how much passion that teacher is passing through to her kids. And her kids are really, you could tell that they were passionate about what they were doing. And this, when she speaks about FFA, when she speaks about her greenhouse, I think that it actually may have been the first school I went to, and I said, hey, how can I help you? And she was like, let me show you. I have this greenhouse, we need to fix this greenhouse. And you can see that she really cares about what she's doing. She's an example of just how great a great teacher can impact kids. And I'm sure that your kids are gonna be tremendous students all of their career, because a great teacher makes great students. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you. Okay, so is Tyler here yet? Is he outside? Well, Principal Schwartz, I'll say something about him. He may not get the opportunity to come out a bit. Tyler is our student for District 3 of the month. Tyler has a 3.9 cumulative GPA, and he's also a star football player. And he's got accepted to a variety of schools. And I don't know if I should say where he got accepted to. I was going to make the announcement himself. But obviously many colleges had his, we're happy to have him. And unfortunately, he's probably hoping that he's going to walk through them and install as long as possible. But anyways, Tyler is a phenomenal student. He's a great kid. And like I said, great teachers make great students. And he's not. Okay, thank you very much for checking. And it's too bad he's not here, but congratulations to Tyler. If he comes in, we'll say, all right, yeah, I'll leave him here.
If he's come this far.
So he's coming from Poinciana, you guys all know that traffic.
So how am I supposed to follow Winking and Blinking here? Thank you, do want to thank the two of you for what you've done. That's
Am I making
that
a
was
break?
great. Well, thank you, board members. I've got a couple items to add to the agenda, but I'll do that a little bit later, so I'll try to be brief. Thank all of you for attending. Hope everyone had a great and well-deserved spring break and Easter. Mother Nature couldn't have dialed in a better day for us. But as always, I want to thank all of our teachers and all of our staff for everything that they do. In my career, I have to wear this thing just on occasion. And I've been thinking, every time I put it on, I think of you, because I can't imagine standing in front of a class and trying to both teach and try to police all of these young minds, and it's got to be rough. So I sincerely thank you for everything that you do. I want to thank the district for the help with the rollout with the COVID vaccinations. Saturday, I've got my second one, so I'm fully vaccinated now. My hearing has gotten better. I can climb walls now. The web's a little sticky on my hands, but anyways. Mr. Phelps, I want to thank you. We had a couple parent issues, and he dealt with me. Thank you for your quick response. As a member of this board, I also sit on the Council on Aging Board of Directors, and we had our recent retreat. And one of the items that came up, they were in desperate need of bus drivers. So I thought, I wonder if some of our bus drivers who has the designations, could they use some extra money? So I'm calling Mr. Shatera, and I'm making a connection there. So maybe some of our bus drivers can float over to the Council on Aging and help there as well. Get a little bit extra money in the pocket. We're moving forward with our steering committee for the Boys and Girls Club. I know that's not necessarily under the umbrella of a school district, but I do have a plan that maybe will involve a school district at some point. And that's really all I have for right now. Thank you.
Dr. Pace?
I would just like to echo again the tremendous thanks that I feel for every single staff member in our school district and our parents and our students in our community. This week we started our state assessment testing, and despite all of the challenges that everybody has faced with COVID, everybody still rose to the occasion. We've been able to feed kids who came in, who may have been digital learners. Our transportation folks are picking them up if they want to come and take their state assessment tests. And our administrators and our teachers and our staff in our schools have really reached out to our digital families to help them feel safe and comfortable about bringing their children to us and trusting us with them for those key few hours. So I just say my hat's off again. Throughout the school year, with all of the challenges that we have faced, everybody has continued to rise to the occasion. I know everybody's tired, everybody's weary. It's been a tremendous amount of stress. But even still, over the course of the week before Easter, we had 9,800 kiddos participating in our support programs, either before school, after school, or on Saturday morning. So again, just people going way above and beyond, and we really do appreciate each and every one of you.
Okay, thank you. Brings us to our presentations. I believe you have two, Mr. Clerk.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Thank you for this opportunity to present two very special awards this evening. This is for Neo City Academy, both awards. Dr. Pace asked that I provide a summary of various awards we've been here before doing other awards. So yet again this evening, two more very prestigious awards. Each project is an opportunity to do something special and unique. And it starts with the school board. So first I want to say thank you to the school board for your support on this very special project. You provided the foundation for us to go forward. Our executive cabinet, who was also very supportive. Our stakeholders, we all jumped in this together. There were the naysayers that said that this couldn't be done. And we jumped in and we figured out how to get things done. And now that we've been able to achieve these successes on this project, that momentum is moving forward. And now that is continuing and replicating on our other projects as well. But it started with a great design from Little Diversified Architectural Consultants. Their thinking outside of the box really set the stage. And they're wonderful sub-consultants, two of whom are here with us this evening. CMTA, who was our mechanical engineer, and Hanson Walters and Associates, who was our civil engineer. And also, very noteworthy to mention that the principal was involved in this project, Principal Meacham. He was just wonderful to work with, and he brought tremendous value to this project. We actually custom designed a school around the programs that went into that school. And that's very different and unique to how things are usually done. Typically, it's the prototype, and then you put the programs in, and you hope it's all going to work. So by designing the programs around the school, provided great synergy in so many respects. And this is a collage of some of the awards and recognition. This was never the intent for this project. But it just goes to show when you do something unique and different, these are the kind of outcomes that occur. 10 awards, 10 very prestigious awards. We've been published 11 times, actually 12. We were just published again today. So, you know, again, this was not the goal for this project. The goal was to provide something that was special and unique, to provide tremendous value to our community and the citizens that we serve, our students. So with that, I am going to introduce our first presenter for the Ashrae Regional Technology Award. And by the way, Ashrae stands for the American Society of Heating, Refrigeration, and Air Conditioning. It is everything that is HVAC. They are the authority. And so this is a very special award. And with that, I'll turn the podium over to Ms. Tracy Stewart. She was our mechanical engineer on the project and is with CMTA. Tracy.
Thank you, Mark, and I appreciate the school board having us here today. And I first want to say thank you so much for taking the initiative to be innovative. We work with people all over the country, and the biggest challenge is someone willing to take that risk, to think differently and do things differently. And so as Mark had said, you know, many of you now have heard of Ashrae because of their role in indoor air quality. But with NeoCity, we had a goal of student success metrics that tied to research data associated with indoor air quality. So NeoCity has increased ventilation, it has dedicated outside air, it has bipolar ionization, it has the ability for higher filtration rates and air changes. And also it was all in the framework of drastic energy reductions, drastic operational cost savings, and sustainability, and being able to get all the renewable energy on the roof. So being able to keep everything on the site prevents us from having to go and do things like make a solar field and displace wildlife. And so we really just are very proud of what you guys have done here, and we want to congratulate you on receiving the Regional Ashrae Award. And this is the top award for Ashrae in this region for these metrics: innovation in indoor air quality, innovation in energy efficiency, and innovation in sustainability. And so we're really proud of that for you guys. And one other thing to note is this is not specific to schools. This is all different building types within this region, all over Florida and a few of the islands. So congratulations to you guys, and you've done a wonderful job, and I hope you keep going on that path moving forward as you are.
Thank you, Tracy. Now I'll ask the team to join us in the front for a photo with Board Chairman and Superintendent Pace. Little Diversified Architects. We have representatives here, Mr. Meacham, my team from facilities, Mark Locker and John Muscombe, and of course Tracy Stewart with CMTA.
Here, no, let the board chair. Not in here. We don't wear masks, so.
How you doing?
I'm good. I didn't even see you back there.
There's too many of us there.
If you kind of turn to the side. Okay. Number one, it makes you look much thinner.
Dinner's good.
John.
Smile with your eyes.
Sure, it does.
If you're not squinting, you're not smiling.
Oh, yeah.
Very much. I
Smile
appreciate
bad.
all
Thank
the
you
work that
very
we've
much.
done with the team, so thank you.
Okay,
All right.
good. You keep this.
John Visconti.
You keep it. There you go. You're welcome. What's that? Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Mark, I'm starting to think that this is a very elaborate way of asking for a raise.
So our second award, is all about civil engineering. Nothing happens without a civil engineer, without the utilities. And this particular site was very challenging because it's only on 5 acres, actually a little less than 5 acres. So a tremendous feat. And to recognize this, our next presenter is Mr. Craig Ballett, who is the ASCE, and that stands for the American Society of Civil Engineers. He is the Florida section president. Craig, if you could come to the podium.
Thank you, Mark. Each year the ASCE selects a project that really exemplifies civil engineering, ingenuity, sustainability. With ASCE, sustainability is a real huge push right now. And, we won this in 2020. This award was given, and we really missed an opportunity because typically you guys get to come out to our banquet down on Fort Lauderdale Beach and get awarded, but because of COVID, you missed out on the beach trip. So you just get me. The Neo City Academy was really an easy choice. I had a very small opportunity to work on it. I'm a geotechnical engineer by trade and got to work on this project, and it was an easy choice. It really, as the first net zero educational facility in the state of Florida, it really exemplifies our push for sustainability with civil engineers. And not only that, as a tool for educating future engineers, it really, it pushes boundaries and really looks at new ways of teaching. And for all these many reasons, it was really an easy choice for the American Society of Civil Engineers to select the Neo City Academy as their Project of the Year award last year. So congratulations to architect Little, as well as civil engineer Hanson Walter and Associates, and the school district of Osceola County.
Thank you, Craig. I'd like to ask the team to come forward. And I'd also like to add, the comment, thank you for the comment regarding the raise. I'm just the guy that gets to sit in the seat and surrounded by a great team. And I want to recognize my team, my Director of Design and Construction, Mark Lockhart, and the project manager on this project, John Visconti, who were very instrumental in keeping things on track and achieving the successes that we did achieve. Thank you, team. So we will ask the team to come forward for a photo. Little Diversified Architectural Consultants, Hanson Walters and Associates, and the facilities team, of course.
One more time.
Hey, thanks for making the trip up here from Woodlawn. Let's turn around, I want to see you.
No.
We're good. Checking on the AC. Sorry.
That's great.
All right, thank you, man. Congratulations.
Great job. Why don't you go ahead?
Mr. Arguello, I'll turn it back over here. I believe your guest has arrived.
Little, just so that you guys, I actually worked on a project with you guys before. You definitely are innovative. I make signage, and you guys forced me to spend $40,000 in equipment to make a new type of sign, so I'll never forget that process.
Yes, you will. There goes your raise, Mark.
Tyler, come on up, Mr. Schwartz, and your family too. So like I said, this is a tremendous student. I'll let Mr. Schwartz explain some of the many reasons, or talk about the many reasons what makes him phenomenal.
Absolutely. So Tyler has a 3.9 GPA, 4.2 cumulative GPA. He actually has been accepted to play football at Davenport University in Michigan. His dean actually wants him to go to Morehouse College where Martin Luther King went, because we all know how Martin Luther King changed the world, and we know how Tyler's destined to change the world. So when we think about Rep the P and respect and education and pride, Tyler embodies all those expectations. He's a student leader, he's a scholar, he's an athlete. He actually played, is it 3 sports this year? Was it football, basketball, weightlifting? Didn't you just get gold at districts and you're moving on to regionals for his weight class? So he's tearing it up. I could not be more proud of this fine young man, and he's well deserving of this recognition. So thank you for honoring him today.
Thank you. You know, West Point would have been a good one too, just saying.
They have a good running team there.
Tyler, keep doing everything that you're doing. Thank you so much for representing us well. All right, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Short.
Thank you all for getting here. We know that's going.
You don't have points in the traffic.
Mr. Ford's texted me and said they're gonna be late. Make a joke about points in that traffic. I already did that before you texted me.
Dr. Pace, this brings us to appointments and transfers.
Yes, sir, thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the board. If I could please ask Ms. Marcia Clevenger to come to the podium. Board members, as you know, our dear friend Mr. Hodges, after 30 years of service here in our school district in a variety of roles, recently retired as director, principal of Osceola Virtual School. Mrs. Clevenger has been the assistant principal there over the course of the last few months, and she's also been a teacher at Horizon Middle from 2003 to 2010, the dean of students and math coach at Narcoossee Middle from 2010 to 2013, and assistant principal at Narcoossee Middle from 2013 to 2020. She received her bachelor's degree in education from Morehead State University and a master's degree in education administration and supervision from University of Phoenix. And I am with complete confidence in recommending Mrs. Clevenger to take over this role. I know that she has the will, the skill, and the passion to move Osceola Virtual School to even higher heights.
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Melendez, and a second by Ms. Castillo to approve Ms. Clevenger. Board, any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carried 5-0. Congratulations.
I really appreciate the honor. I can't tell you how much I have learned from Osceola County and all of the wonderful people that have gone before me and have instructed me in how to behave as a professional in education. And I also want to say, I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you very much, because you've helped educate my personal children through the years to attain the dreams that they currently have, and I look forward to doing that for others and serving our community. So thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
Congratulations.
Next on the agenda, Mr. Chair and members of the board, we don't have guests with us tonight, but I have a slate of administrative transfers, 3.02, in our efforts to continue to diversify experiences and prepare our assistant principals to do things like Ms. Clevenger is doing now. But I am recommending the transfer of Rolando Casado, currently the assistant principal at Horizon Middle, to become the assistant principal at Parkway Middle. Mr. Frankie Franceschi, currently the assistant principal at Kissimmee Middle, to become the assistant principal at Neptune Middle. Deanna Hebler, currently assistant principal at Discovery Middle, to become assistant principal at Horizon Middle in Dr. Casado's spot. And then Beth Talemko, currently the AP at Neptune Elementary, to become the assistant principal at Harmony Community School, sir.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Arguello with a second by Mr. Bass to approve the 4 appointments. Dr. Pace just read into the record. Board, any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries 5-0. Congratulations to all 4. That is it for appointments, Dr. Bass?
Yes, sir.
All right, brings us, it's still in your hands with our back to school update. You have some information there?
Yes, sir, I'll be very brief. I did want to continue to provide an update to the board and the community. We remain strong at 74% of our students back in our building with digital learning. As I shared earlier with you, the schools have done a great job and our parents and students have been very responsive about getting our digital learners in for the mandatory student assessment. We are seeing a slight uptick in positive cases and positivity rate across our community. As of last week, the positivity rate was 7.43%. But on a positive note, we now have administered as a community in Osceola County residents 124,000 doses of the COVID vaccine. 83,000 people have been vaccinated and 44,904 are gonna join Mr. Bass this weekend. and
Climbing
having
walls, yeah.
Both doses fully completed.
Good.
And this week, the community is moving toward more of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, so the single-dose vaccine. We are in conversation with Eric Larson from Prescriptions Unlimited, who's been a tremendous community partner for everybody about trying to get vaccines to people with limited access to those. And he is agreeing to work with us to set up a couple of sites where we could administer vaccines to students whose parents wish for them to have it and would be willing to accompany them. So we're working on whether that's Saturday mornings, whether that's afternoons, but we'll be looking at that. That's for students 16, 17, and 18. They do have to have a parent on site, and only the Pfizer has been approved for people under the age of 18. So it would require the 2 shots, but Lauren's been in discussions over the last couple of days, and so we hope to get something like that started in the very near future. But we're super, super excited about that. And I do encourage people to consider certainly consulting with your doctor, but taking advantage of that opportunity to have that layer of protection, not only in our schools, but really across our community. One thing that I would ask the board for some direction on this evening, through general discussion, it is not an action item. But as we move forward, I think it's time for us to talk about the options that we offer our students for learning for the 21-22 school year. That would be August. Of course, we will continue to monitor situations and things could change between now and August. But I am hopeful with the speed of the vaccination rollout that we can get control of these variants. Last week in comments made in one of his public comments, Commissioner Corcoran indicated that he felt like the emergency orders extending full funding for the innovative learning option, what we call our digital learning piece, would no longer be in effect for the fall. And so for the sake of confusion and also planning for Mrs. Clevenger and her team at Osceola Virtual School, my recommendation to the board is that we go to 2 options for August of 2021. That is virtual through our Osceola Virtual School program or face-to-face back in our buildings for brick and mortar. And I just need the board to have some discussion and give me a head nod one way or the other on that particular piece.
Ms. Melendez?
Well, first of all, I appreciate you willing to take that head on, because the reality is sometimes the Department of Education waits to the last minute. You know, I remember last time they were extending that order, and it was like almost Thanksgiving when they said they were gonna do it. And so I appreciate giving opportunity for our teachers and staff to plan as far ahead as possible. So I'm one in favor of, regardless of what the state does, you know, because like you said, he's hinted at it, he hasn't made it official, but why wait till that comes in? We can go ahead and just get ahead of the horse, so to speak, and say, or put the cart before the horse, or not do it that way. But we have the choice of saying, you know what, this is what we're gonna do. And I think that for those students that felt digital is proper for them, we have, the virtual school has a proven model that works. And I think in our agenda, we even have approving the different ways that they can get that education. So I'm in favor of just saying, hey, you know what, let's just, regardless of what the state says, let's get ahead of it, let all of our teachers plan it, let them figure out how many classrooms they're gonna get. I'd even be in favor of maybe, I know there's a million surveys and I gotta be careful with that, but just kind of getting a feel for how many parents wanna choose which option. So coming the next school year, we know exactly how to plan for them.
We'll have a communication plan ready to go once the board gives us the direction.
Steve?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Of course, I'm in favor of having those conversations early on. So that's definitely gonna be a yes for me. I do have a question about OVS. I remember in the beginning of the pandemic, we were concerned about whether or not they were gonna be able to take more students. Although I think that part of what we're going to approve today might take care of that. So I guess with the conversation of the 2 options, we should also have conversations about infrastructure and whether or not they can take even more students. Because I'm assuming there are going to be some parents and students who are going to prefer that digital option permanently, possibly.
The value of the options that are on the board for your consideration tonight, extending or developing a contract with the Pasco Virtual School and Brevard's Virtual School models, gives us the opportunity to provide 3 options, which is required in statute, but it allows us to move away from the K-12 education curriculum plan, which our contract expires at the end of June. K-12 education felt like they could honor the capacity. Last spring, they were very strong in promising that, but I'm gonna be honest, it's been a struggle throughout the year to make sure that the students had full access to the curriculum, to the training. We're following our calendar for clear communication throughout the school year. By doing this, we would be relying on Osceola district teachers and staff that would help to complement Ms. Clevenger's team. In January, they were able to move into the renovated band music building that used to be a part of St. Cloud Middle School. I had the opportunity to visit there last week. There is space for large group, small group, testing, instruction, tutoring, as well as office spaces to accommodate additional staff. So I feel confident that if we can get ahead of this now and start that planning process, we'll be able to fulfill anybody that wants to do it. I will share with you that, the virtual school program is more demanding, more dependent on strong literacy skills than what our digital learning component has been when it's one-on-one with individual teachers tied to the building. But that has been such a struggle for our teachers to try to have to manage a digital learning classroom, a face-to-face learning classroom, and in many cases, trying to do the both at one time. Again, they've been amazing. I saw it in action again just this week at Neo City. But when you've then got 24 kids in front of you and 2 on the computer, the challenge of trying to balance between that is really, really a lot. And as I said, I think our people are tired, they're weary. I'm confident in recommending to the board that we work towards getting back to some sense of normality.
A follow-up question though to that, because she makes up a good point, is I remember when students can choose option 3, the laptops were like, if there's any excess left over, because the priority went to option 2. But with option 2 no longer on the table, are we allowed then to offer the laptops to students that don't have one for option 3? I guess it'll be option 2 in the future, but I'm saying, so if they choose to go to the virtual school, I was told that we don't have to provide them. But if they feel uncomfortable and they want to stay home, are we allowed to use those laptops for those children?
Actually, as a part of our information item regarding CARES Act, you will see in item, I don't have my paper drive order, 15.04, Mr. Thorne's analysis of a one-to-one readiness assessment, which would include Osceola virtual school students as a part of a one-to-one initiative with our CARES Act dollars. But that again has to come back to the board, but we'll be looking for some discussion on that.
Yes, so thank you so much, Mr. Chair. So and I'll be done because I know we have so much on the agenda. One thing that I would like to see or possibly just have a community discussion around is exactly what you said, Dr. Pace, which is the level of demand and rigor that it takes to be successful in an online program. I mean, you and I have had conversations about my child. She's not going online, she's going to OXO full-time, but she also takes dual enrollment, and those are all online. And we've had conversations about how difficult that has been, and my student is AP student, right? So I don't know how, when, what it's gonna take for us to have a realistic picture of what the model student would be, the model candidate for someone to be successful in that program. I definitely wanna have that conversation community-wide. I don't know if we partner with our community service partners or whatever, but I think that's really important. I don't wanna give a false sense of what it takes to be in this kind of program.
Absolutely, Ms. Castillo.
Anything else? I too am in agreement with your plan. I have felt very strongly all along. I think we have track record of performance of online, which is not always that great. I also continue to remain very concerned about some of the online students, the isolation that they have and the mental health issues that it can cause. in some cases, so I am all in to remove the third option, or the in and out, one foot in, one foot out option, and hopefully, as far as I'm concerned, it'll get more kids with vaccinations and everything else back in face-to-face education. Mr. Arguello?
Yeah, Dr. Pace, have all the indications, the medical indications said that still our schools are a safe place to be, right?
Yes, sir.
And so nothing's really changed from the very beginning. It's been consistently, our kids are safer as a community in our schools than other places, right? So I'm completely in agreement also and supportive of getting them back into the building. I do have concerns contractually regarding some of the other discussions, like when the time comes, I guess we'll review. But, I think that needs to be part of the communication plan. If we're not going to argue over science, that this is the place where they should be. It's the place where they're learning better. And I also want to make sure that whatever digital options we have just remain of high quality and provide them with a great option.
Thank you for that direction. UCF has even recently conducted a local study about the safety of classrooms when there is good air quality and kids wear masks. So confirming the things that we're already doing.
I think you have a consensus.
I appreciate that very much. Thank you. That's all I have.
At this point, we will recess the school board meeting and we will convene a school board workshop. Mr. Boyd, are you gonna take us through?
Yes, sir. Yes, Dr. Pace and school members.
And John, before you start, is this one requiring action or is this informational?
This is informational this evening, and we'll bring them back to you next month for public hearing and action. So this is essentially the first reading of the proposed revisions to school rules. And I'll begin with the rules proper. The first proposed revision is for 3.14 suicide prevention. It adds paragraphs 1 and 5 to reflect changes to section 1003.42 required instruction of Florida statutes in regard to specific topics of mental health instruction, and it adds the citation to the rule. Proposed revision for 3.40, safe and secure schools, is ongoing creation of new policy language and provisions of existing policy language in order to comply with recent changes in state law and to provide consistency with district precedent and current practice in regards to what was Senate Bill 7026, which is the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School Public Safety Act of 2018, the Senate Bill 7030 of 2019, and 7. This change would revise paragraph 4B to reflect guidance from the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, Office of Safe Schools regarding threat assessments. It's very specific to that. Revision for the next rule, 3.48, service animals, revises paragraph 6 to reflect recommendations from the United States Office of Civil Rights regarding service animals. Revision to 5.12, admission to first grade, that's paragraph 2 to establish the school district's transitional kindergarten program as an option for parents during the 21-22 school year in order to support incoming grade 1 students who were eligible to attend but did not attend kindergarten for the 2021 school year due to the parents' concerns about the pandemic. 5.70, student records, is also ongoing creation of policy from the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas Act and specifically adds paragraph 4 to reflect guidance from the Department of Law Enforcement, FBLA, Office of Safe Schools, regarding the transfer of student records. We have revised this rule in the past. This is just an additional piece. It's recommended from our consultants at what's referred to as NEFAC, the Northeast Florida Educational Consortium, to make the rule even better than it is. Rule 6.545, military leave, revises paragraph 1 to clarify existing policy language regarding requests for and granting of military leave. This is not specific to any of those that are military orders, which are not an option. This is in reference to voluntary requests for leave for voluntary situations. Rule 8.60, network acceptable use, adds paragraph 19 to prohibit users of the school district's network from using any equipment or software to bypass, disrupt, modify, hack, or abuse the school district's network, network filtering systems, or network security systems, or to disrupt the school district's network in any way, and it provides an exception for authorized school district technology employees for specific approved and assigned job duties to make any changes they need to the network. The next set of changes I'll refer to the Code of Student Conduct. The first change, of course, in general, revises the policy document to comply with recent changes in state law and to provide consistency with district precedent and current practice. There's a revision to the title page to reflect the 2021-22 school year. And there's a revision to page 8 to clarify buttoned up or zippered sweaters are permitted outer garments. There's a revision on page 16 to reflect the school district's new school choice policy. There's a revision also on page 16 to update the Department of Charter Schools and Educational Choices to the Department of Educational Choices and Innovation. There are revisions to the matrix of infractions and possible consequences to establish report to the parent as a mandatory consequence for all infractions, and to add as an optional consequence verbal reprimand for all infractions. The last set of changes are in regards to the student progression plan. It revises the policy document to comply with recent changes in state law and to provide consistency with district precedent and current practice. Specifically, it updates the revision date on the title page to May 4th, 2021, should this change be approved at the public hearing in our next meeting. It adds policy language to establish the school district's transitional kindergarten program exactly as the rule that I mentioned and summarized for review 5.12. It does the same thing in both documents. And those are the recommended changes for this public workshop. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to take them now, or if you want to call or email me or specific staff, I'm happy to take the questions.
I'll move to approve.
It's just information.
Oh, that's right, you did say, I'm sorry,
I appreciate that.
Any questions for Mr. Boyd? If there are no questions,
my apologies, Mr. Boyd.
we will go ahead and I think you'll bring it back in 2 weeks and we'll move forward at that point.
Next
So we
month,
will.
May the 4th, so May the 4th be with you.
We will go ahead and adjourn the workshop for rule changes, and we will reconvene our regularly scheduled meeting. This brings us to item 6, which are agenda modifications. And I know we have a removal of one item, 13.01, I believe, has been removed from the agenda. And we have a blue sheeted item, 16.01, that has been, it will be blue sheeted, it's in front of us. Are there any other?
I have a couple things I'd like to add,
Sure.
if possible. One would be the current recent legislative discussions regarding the funding of Bright Futures for discussion. And then, and I gave all of you the packet on my booster startup kit, for lack of a better word for right now. We could just briefly discuss that and enter that into discussion.
Okay. I think we will put those under board comments possibly towards the end.
That's fine, that's how I wanted to, yes, we can do that.
Okay, any other changes?
Chairman, I'd like to pull 1205, 1208, 1209.
I wasn't gonna write, I thought I could remember 1205, 08.
09 and 11 for consent.
12, 11.
Yes. And 1801.
Is that in the regular agenda, 18?
18 is in the regular agenda, I believe.
Oh, okay.
So we could do that. That was
Yeah,
okay.
without doing. Thank you.
That's it.
That's it.
So I have 4 items, 5, 8, 9, 11.
5, 8, 9, and 11.
Okay.
1003 and 1004.
10:03, It's okay, it's on the regular agenda, so.
Okay.
10:03, 10:04?
Yes, sir, Mr.
Jules?
Chair. Yes, yes, sir.
Board, any other changes?
Oh, I'm sorry, 10:05.
10:04, 3, 4, 5. That then, board, I'll entertain a motion. Any others?
I'll move to move the agenda with the changes that have been suggested.
Second.
So that's 1301 pulled, addition of 1601, the pull from consent agenda 1003, 1004, 1005, 1205, 1208, 1209, and 1211. Right?
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Castillo, with a second by Mr. Melendez. Any further discussion on those? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those like sign, motion carries 5-0. That brings us to item 10.03. Julius, Ms. Melendez, it's yours, I believe.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, 10:03 and 10:04 kind of go together, and I did speak with the superintendent earlier, and she made a clarification. I just want to make sure that everyone kind of knows about it, because it is a little confusing, because when we talk about the Osceola virtual school being an option, she made me understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, so maybe I didn't understand it correctly, we have to have like 3 different options. So one of them is we take the curriculum from the Florida virtual school itself and pay a fee for use of that. But then, I forgot this part of this, I don't pass this part of the test. Then who are the teachers and where does the FTE go for that specific option?
And thank you for that clarification, Mr. Melendez, because I did misspeak just a little bit ago when I was talking about the Osceola virtual school option. We are required in statute to offer 3 different options. Prior to this, we've had 701, 7001, 7004, and we used the Florida virtual school curriculum and our teachers, or we used K-12 and their teachers. In the agreement with Pasco County, we would be purchasing their teachers and curriculum, and they would get the FTE. In the contract that's proposed with Brevard, we would just be purchasing the curriculum, and then it would be Osceola School District teachers. And our intention is to primarily direct kids or help kids choose either the classes that Osceola currently has contracted with for Florida Virtual School or Brevard, and use Pasco only when we need to fill in a student's schedule. But that would be the balance. So we would not be paying our teachers to teach the Pasco curriculum and giving Pasco the FTE. I'm glad you clarified that with me, because I didn't fully understand it myself and had to go back to staff to dig into that. And what this does is it widens the number of course offerings that we can provide, even though we're still using Florida Virtual School curriculum. Because our existing Florida Virtual School curriculum has classes from K through 12. We just had never used their elementary teachers and their elementary courses, I mean. But this year, based on demand, we would be adding some additional teachers to teach the K-5 elementary component with that Florida Virtual School curriculum through either our contract or Brevard's, and then moving the program forward that way. Does that make sense?
Now, do children get a choice at the beginning? 'Cause I've never done a virtual school before, you know what I mean? It's like, do they say, okay, track 1, track 2, or do we guide them?
What we would be doing is we would be guiding them with our guidance counselors at Osceola Virtual School, the same way that we do with our current scheduling in our own schools. Keep in mind too that there are 2 types of students in our Osceola Virtual School program. Some of them are full-time Osceola Virtual School students. For example, we have one kid, I think, who's like a drag racer. And so he travels a lot, and that flexibility of being able to access classes in that setting is important to him. But you also have high school students, for example, who are required to complete at least half a semester of a virtual course, who sign up through either Osceola Virtual or Florida Virtual. We push them to Osceola Virtual through our guidance counselors, because then we don't lose the FTE. And then you have the students who sometimes will do a blend of both. You also have homeschool students who will do a blend of both. Some of their programs they elect to do through Osceola Virtual School, some of them they elect to do through an alternative homeschool program, or perhaps even dual enrollment at Valencia. So that's kind of the number of students that they serve. But the guidance counselors, both at the schools who are providing this information to kids and also at virtual school are super important in helping them to make the right choices. I forgot one other type of student, and that's the student who needs to make up credits because of failure. They can either do it within our schools in our Edgenuity labs, or they could look at Osceola Virtual School as a way to make up one of those missing credits. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, and that answered both my items, 1003 and 1004.
I think we need to
Because four
vote
is
on, I
Brevard.
think we need to vote on one at a time, just for the record, yeah. Mr. Arguello?
Yeah, so, 1003 and 1004, their contracts are written very similarly, but they're not the same. One, I think it's 1004, I can't pull it up here, but 1003 says that we pay FTE, right, at the beginning and in its payment structure, in its clause for payment. And then 1004 says that we do not give them our FTE. Then in the payment structure, it says that we do pay their FTE. So I think that we need to re-look at these contracts because it's, number one, conflicting, according to what I remember. And I can't pull it up, otherwise I'd show exactly, but it essentially says deep into the payment clauses, it says that the School of Education, if I'm remembering this correctly, School of Education actually receives FTE, and the School of Education for Brevard is actually the one that is the virtual school, I guess it's them, obviously.
Dr. Pazer, are we on a time crunch on these? Can these be pulled for the next meeting so we don't?
I have, you can't pull it up?
No.
You wanna look at mine? Cause I have the Brevard one up here. Do you wanna look at it? So you can like guide us to which paragraph?
Sure.
If you would, I mean,
10.4.
sir, if you would like to table these and allow me to get additional clarification, I do know that Mr. Kruppenbacher and
They're
Giselle.
different contracts.
Yeah.
They're different, and
Yeah, and
the
they,
questions and staff answered them, and when Art, you made the business decision.
I just think that in this contract, in 10.05, it's actually conflicting in itself. In the beginning part, it says that we are not paying FTE, and then later in the contract, it says that we are paying FTE. So, and it's School of Education, let me see here.
1004.
Let's find it exactly.
Yeah, 1004 is Brevard. Because Pasco was real clear that we're paying the FTE to Pasco.
Right,
But the
Pasco said that we're paying
teachers,
FTE.
we're paying them.
So in the scope of work, let me see where it says FTE here.
What page number, John?
I'm looking now, so I had this on my computer, but it's not opening up on mine, otherwise I would have found it in advance.
Mr. Chair.
So
But the good thing is 1003
come
is
back
not,
on the
1003 doesn't have any conflicting language, so if we can approve 1003 right away, we can do that. I mean, or do you see anything in Mr.
Are they-
Aguirre with 1003? Because
Yeah, I don't really want the board meeting to go through, if we've got time, I'd rather,
just
I'm
let
okay.
me look,
yeah, let them relook and we can check it for the next meeting.
I'm absolutely, yes.
We have time,
And
right?
I apologize, like I said, I let Mrs. Clevenger go, but I will definitely get Frank and Giselle and Mrs. Clevenger to sit down and make sure that we have all the information they need.
Thank you.
But I'm okay with 1003.
it wasn't working, yeah.
Okay, so 1003, everybody's good, if we motion,
That's
then we
one
can move
Pasco
forward
County,
with that.
their teachers. Yes, sir. So I motion to approve item 1003 as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Melendez with a second by Mr. Bass to approve item 10.03. Board, any further discussion on that?
I do have a
Nope.
point of discussion.
Sure.
It's not material, but I do wanna know because based on the explanation that I received, when I spoke to you, Dr. Pace, as well as the conversation we just had, this is all interrelated. So we need to have 1003 and 1004. If, is the only issue that you're having, Mr. Arguello, just the language? Or do you have a material issue with this specific option?
Whether they get FTE or not is very material, right?
So
No, but
let me ask the question again, or let me rephrase my question. Because from what I heard from Dr. Pace or not, we're getting the FTE. That's the explanation that I got. Did I get that correct, Dr. Pace? Maybe.
But I am absolutely, let me double check these things,
All right.
okay?
Jill, make
Is there
sure.
any reason not to postpone this so that we can verify that who's getting the FTE and
No,
make
sir.
sure that we know, right, okay.
This can wait until until April the 20th.
May I continue asking my question?
Yes.
Okay, because the question wasn't about necessarily regard, it's about if there is another option. If this is not a viable option based on what the board decides, do we have another option? Does anyone know?
Yes, we can contract with
That was
another
my
virtual
question.
school. We have chosen to partner with Pasco and Brevard
Got it.
because of the high quality of their virtual school programs.
Thank you so much. Okay, I'm good.
And just to make it clear, I have no problem with contracting with Brevard or Pasco. I don't have any problem with the content.
No,
My only
I-
concern was the
no,
FTE movement.
Yep, makes sense.
That's a good.
Makes sense. So we're moving
So-
to 10:04.
So we have a motion on the floor right now to approve 10.03. Should we hold both of these and relook at them and bring them both back in 2 weeks?
That would be my recommendation,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr.
So I'll
Melendez?
withdraw my motion for 10:03.
Okay. Second,
I withdraw second.
withdraw? Okay, now we need to make a motion to table these two items one at a time and to the next meeting.
Second,
Motion by Mr. Arguello, I think, right?
yes.
With a second by Mr. Bass to table 10.03. Board, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries 5-0. Brings us to 10.04, Board.
Move to table 10.04.
Okay. Have a motion by Mr. Bass with a second by Ms. Castillo to table 10.04 to the next meeting. Board, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries 5-0, brings us to 10.05. Mr. Arguello, I believe you pulled that one.
Yes, and really I just have a comment on the language regarding the labeling and the branding. So on these courts, they reserve the right, the vendor and the granting organization preserve the right to put whatever logos. I just want to make sure that we're allowed to veto the logo or the statements that go on those, because it doesn't say that in the contract. And I just think that I would be very wary allowing somebody carte blanche on putting logos on school properties.
We have these courts at Neptune Middle and also at Kissimmee Middle School, and it's not been an issue. I understand and respect your concern that it could be an issue if you want us to work with Mr. Krupperbacher on that. There is a little bit more of a time crunch on these because of the installation, and they want to get it kind of ready for a summer program. But we have certainly worked with them and found nothing unusual or offensive.
I'm perfectly fine approving it. I just know that I'm no lawyer, nor do I, I'd be the world's worst lawyer maybe, but I just when it comes to branding, I'm always afraid to allow somebody their free range to put a logo on someplace.
Don't allow free range, so.
We've had some banners show up and things, so that's a good one.
I'll move to approve 10:05.
I'll second.
A motion by Mr. Bass with a second, Mr. Arguello to approve 10.05. Board, further discussion?
Yeah, I do want to acknowledge Target for donating. I think the total value was over $100,000. And I like to say, hey, publicly, thank you. Anytime somebody
That's great.
crosses over a milestone of $100,000 to us, thank you very much and keep it coming.
These have been really significant investments on your part, and it's really benefiting kids and our whole community, because it's not just kids at the school who use it.
Good comment. Anything else, Board? If not, we have a motion by Mr. Bass, second by Mr. Arguello to approve item 10.05. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those like sign, motion carries 5-0. Board, that brings us to 12.05, I believe. Mr. Arguello, you pulled this item.
Yes, so this is gonna be a reoccurring thing, I think, but I would like to motion to decline the extension due to the reason that we have two pre-qualified vendors, very local, inside our county, who can actually participate in this bid, but they're precluded from bidding on this if we provide this extension. And to clarify again, this is not a punishment to those vendors that are on this list. They just happen to be available, and for whatever reason, they did not get to participate last time. And if we allow them to get in, I'm sure that they will and do a good job for us.
Yeah, I'd like to mention if I can, Mr. Chair. And I did speak with Dr. Pace, and she said the timeline has adjusted. So it's not like it was before, where it's all or nothing. Like if we reject, we don't have time to go out there and submit bids. So that part of it has, I mean, am I understanding? Yeah, okay, good. I want to say something that's contradictory, yes. So that part has been alleviated. And so I think that, the heartache that we had on the prior agendas was, it wasn't really the new policy. So I do appreciate Dr. Pace, first of all, for listening to the board and making those adjustments and allowing us to have that opportunity to vote yea or nay on these renewals. So I support Mr. Arguello's notion that we should try to include local vendors as much as possible. And just for clarity too, it's a renewal, so the local vendors didn't get notice that this bid was up. They only got to see the agenda posted saying that, hey, it's gonna be a renewal, so they didn't have time to get together and put a packet and bid on it. So
How are
that's
we
why I think
gonna
it's
do
appropriate.
this, now, are we gonna do this every single meeting though? How are we going to put some type of precedence? Because I did do my homework and I circled back around because I felt terrible for the lady who was here before,
Just don't do no more renewals, don't do no more renewals, just cancel, that's the way you cancel it, I wanna answer that directly.
Hang on just a minute. But she had said that she had missed a phone call, missed
Mandatory meeting.
but there wasn't, was there a mandatory meeting?
It was in the prior submission. It wasn't on that. The mandatory
That was 3
meeting
years ago.
was it was 3 years ago on the original award. So it's renewing that award. So it wasn't currently that she had missed it. She missed it 3 years prior.
See, and that's the issue, so the way it could cause this is just stop all the rules and just bid everything out.
Ms.
I'm
Castillo's
bringing it
got her
over, I'll
line
bring it
on.
on in my board member comments.
Okay.
But do you see what I'm saying though, Robert? It's not like these people didn't have the opportunity to bid on this and they didn't submit it on time. They don't know about it because the contract is up for renewal. There is no public notice that this contract is up. The only public notice that a vendor receives is the agenda when it comes out. And it says, hey, it's up for renewal. So then people are saying, hey, it's up for renewal, I wanna get on it. Then we tell them, oh, we can't because there's no bid. You can't just get on an agenda and submit. You have to have a bid. On these renewals, there are no bids. That's the key. And that's something that I didn't realize either the first time Mr. Arguello brought it up. And then it's like, oh, light bulb moment, of course. If you're like on top of your game, paying attention to VendorLink, this never hit VendorLink. That's the point. It never hit VendorLink because it's a renewal. If it's a bid, then it hits VendorLink.
So how do we correct this? So how, Frank?
Well, over time, it's
How
gonna,
do we correct
I'm
it?
sorry.
Ms. Castillo, you've got your light on.
I'm sorry, I changed my mind just because it seems like we're not gonna vote on this until we talk it to death. So I would like to, at some point, whether it's today or at some point in the very near future, we have got to change or have a conversation, whether it's in a board meeting or however it needs to be, to change this process. Because we keep bringing this up and the same people keep having the same issues, either for or against. It's the process. If the process is wrong, and I think I said this before, we need to change the process. So I'm going to publicly ask that at some point we have a very specific conversation about how this process is, how do we change it, what do we like about it, what we don't like about it, so that we don't have to continuously bring these things ad hoc. Wanted to do that in board comments because I think that's where it belongs, but it just seems like we're debating instead of deliberating.
Right.
So I wanted to just go ahead and just bring that up. Thank you.
Mr. Yeah.
This came up previously and following that meeting. It was a meeting with purchasing with Ms. Graber and myself. So I then came back and represented to you. We fixed it because purchasing was directed to bring to this board in advance enough time that if the board said we don't want to extend, we could do a bid. It's the fundamental underlying thing, right? And if they couldn't bring it back in time, like there were a couple, then they need to explain that in the memo to the board, why, it either slipped through the cracks or this is one of those ones before we fix the process et cetera, and there was no time. So if we follow what was represented to us, we should not be having a problem, right? That document in front of you should represent either, unfortunately, by the time we fixed it, this was already out of the gate, so to speak, and we don't have time, or you do have time. It's a very simple thing. I just don't want to get it convoluted by everybody talking over it. We had it fixed, so I'm not sure where the issue is, but.
Well, the issue is that certain people don't feel comfortable doing renewals in general. Did I get that correct? And if that's the issue, then I want the problem solved. If the issue is bringing up for renewals when some part of the board wants to have a conversation about just having bids instead of renewals, that's a conversation. I want the issue solved.
So
I don't want to have this
it's a
conversation
different
again.
issue than the one I
It
wanted.
sounds like it's a different issue. I think that I don't know if I got that right, but did I?
No.
Is the issue with renewals?
No, the issue is not with renewals.
Okay, because that's what you said would solve it.
no.
So help me understand. Help me understand,
It is,
please.
but it's.
Which person are you speaking about? Are you
I'm
speaking about Mr.
speaking
Melendez's comments?
to
or are you
Mr.
speaking about
Melendez first because he's the one that said that the issue was with renewals in response to Mr. Bass's comment. So I would like you to help me understand,
Yeah,
please.
and that's fair, and I don't wanna take away the idea of renewals, because sometimes renewals make sense, because you wanna keep the same price and terms locked in on a particular contract, especially when there's like one vendor that's doing it, and you wanna keep that vendor moving along. So there's a place for renewals, but the issue is, that I think that has been fixed, is that the renewal has to still be allowed to be accepted or rejected by this
So
board.
it sounds like we do have an issue with the renewal process.
No, we don't.
We would like to add a clause to have, and I don't know if that's possible, I'm not an attorney, right? Would it be fixed if we add a clause saying we have to put this on vendor link? Would that fix it?
No, because you
Because you
don't
can't
have
put it
an
in
original bid.
It's not, it's
All I
already
can tell
been
you
bid.
is, what we fixed is fixed because Sarah confirmed for me, if you do not decide to renew this, there is adequate time to bid it out. So the issue is what you have framed, Ms. Castillo, about is there gonna be a standard policy on we don't ever wanna renew, or we do wanna renew and we'll evaluate it? Because what we went over was, if the recommendation is to renew, your recommendation, better explain why, explain that you looked out in the market and there isn't cheaper stuff out there, et cetera, so the board is fully informed before they vote on it. So I think Sarah and I fixed that issue. The issue is a bigger policy issue of, are you gonna do any renewals, or are you just saying, no, there are no renewals?
If there's going to be a caveat when we do a renewal, I would like to have that in some kind of written policy so that the board understands how to proceed. When I'm looking at my agenda on Tuesday and I'm like, okay, I'm reading all of these, I don't have to think, oh my gosh, are we not going to renew this because someone has an issue with the process? That's what I want, A. And B, if the issue is having people from the community be able to bid on these renewals, then how do we get that to happen? I don't know if we have the answer now.
They're not bidding on the renewal, becomes a new bid.
Right. Do you see where the problem is still?
See, I just
There's still an issue
But
with
that's
the
not a problem
renewals.
though, you could just reject the bid, which is what we
Okay.
do here, and there's no problem.
Fine.
That's what I'm trying to tell
I
you.
call
Terry.
the question.
Yeah, because I just want to make it clear though, because I want to make it clear for the record then, is that's the process. So the process works. We just reject the bids. It's not a negative thing to reject the bids. We reject the bids and that's okay. And we set up a new renewal. Dr. Pace has done an excellent job by extending the bid deadline. See, what happened before was that we couldn't reject the bids because there was going to be a lapse in service.
Got it.
But Dr. Pace actually listened to us, and I'm very proud, and I'm willing to say that in public. Dr. Pace did a good job. She talked to staff and extended the deadline or made renewal process happen earlier. So if we reject
Thank you
this,
so much.
there's not going to be a lapse in service. So I think it has been
Yes.
corrected. So it's
Okay.
okay to reject it and not feel bad about it.
Listen,
No
we
problem.
got a question
Let's
called,
go.
Mr. Ogley, I have a technical question for you. Because I was thinking, you made the motion to deny the approval of the bid
Yes.
renewal. He seconded, okay. just want to make sure sorry, I've got ahead of me. All right, and your light is on.
Thank you. So really, the only question is, this happens to be a very similar contract to one in the past, where we're talking about the same family businesses that are here in Osceola County. There is no negative impact by saying no, which is what Frank and Sarah have fixed for us at this point. So, again, the only reason that I'm bringing it up is not a problem with the process. I have no problem with the process of allowing for renewal. I have a problem being forced to renew a contract for anything. So the whole point is not to be forced, which we are not. We're only forced by the decision of the board. So it's really, I'm motioning to reject this, to reject the renewal, so that local businesses, of which there are qualified businesses in our county who would like to bid on this project, on this contract, have the opportunity to do so. That's all. So it's not some overarching giant policy issue. It's just there are companies that can qualify for this and they would like to, and that's what I'm fighting for.
Now, would there be a second motion for it to be bid? Or
No,
is it automatic?
Let me just restate what's going on as I see it, because I think I can do it in 20 words or less. By denying this bid renewal, we are automatically saying we will open up a bid for this feature.
Or not provide the service to our.
Or not provide the service, right? Yeah, just go away, but that's different. But that would, when we deny, if we deny this approval, it means purchasing is gonna have to determine, do we really need this service? If we do, we've got to open up the bid process. Clear? Does that make sense? All right, so there is a motion on the floor by Mr. Arguello, seconded by Mr. Melendez, to deny the bid renewal for 12.05. Slid out.
No,
On the road.
good.
Nay means nay, right?
So, Mr. Arthur, did you hit your button? Or did I never turn it off? Any further questions? Actually, the question was called, so we will take a vote. All those in favor of denying the bid renewal signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign?
Aye.
Aye.
So motion fails 2-3. Right, they're like triple negatives here, and I'm getting confused. Okay. So we need another motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve item 12.05.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Ms. Castillo to approve 12.05 with a second by Mr. Bass. Board, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign?
Aye.
Motion passes 3-2 to approve the bid renewal for 12.05. Okay, next on the agenda is 12.08, correct? No, we not miss one of these. We're
Right on.
gonna do these all. 12.8, lawn care service for okay. Mr. Arguello, you pulled that,
Yes, so 12.08, I was curious, when I was reading through this process, it had said that the previous provider had resigned from this contract, and that another one was filled in the gap. I can't pull up the documents here, so, well, anyways, I spoke to the provider of the previous one, and his feelings were that he was discouraged from continuing this contract and that he was intentionally confused through the bidding process, and that there were some issues with the processes, and that's why he no longer serves at the pleasure of the board, because there were issues with this. I would like to for 08, 09, and 11, delay this so that we have an opportunity to do some fact-finding with the previous provider and find out exactly why they were discouraged from continuing this contract.
Are 08, 9, and 11, are they the same person?
They are. Yes, Frank.
I hear where you're coming from. Quite frankly, I don't know if we've got a
What about 12,
time-sensitive issue on this, and I don't mind checking into it.
What about 12, 12?
I will tell you.
12, I think that the owner was previous. It might have been a similar situation, but
I mean, it was, I thought, it just looked like it was all wrapped up into the same.
no, so the issue is not this gentleman, it's just the process of the previous provider. I'm not so sure that he was the
Oh,
previous
he didn't
provider
have
of
the
this
provider,
one.
gotcha, okay, gotcha.
I will tell you, this board and Total Water is another board I was on in the past that has the exact same things because they pay people to do their lift stations and all that. These are notorious for people bidding them and doing them one time and never showing up again. So
That wasn't the instance in this situation.
I don't know.
May I ask, will the previous provider or the provider in question be coming to the meetings? How are we going to have, are we to
I think that Frank would be the
conversations?
appropriate method of fact finding in this
Yeah,
situation.
but Mr. Moreno, I'll contact the gentleman, I'll follow up and report back.
Let's, we gotta do these one at a time. So let's deal with 1208 first. And it may be, I think for the record, I don't think we can, based on, I think she's gotta do it one at a time. So,
Okay.
I mean, we can maybe just go through them if it's the same. So, have you,
So I will motion to pull 1208, 1208.
just do 1208 first, okay.
Totally going now.
Yes.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Mr. Arguello, a second by Mr. Bass, to pull 12.08 from the agenda for some further review. Or any further comment? Hearing none, all those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries 5-0. That brings us to 12.09.
Now we'll make the same motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Arguello, a second by Mr. Melendez, to pull item 12.09 for further review. Board, any further comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries 5-0. 12.11, I believe, right?
Yes. And I would motion in similar fashion.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Arguello with a second by Mr. Bass to pull item 12.11 for further review. Board, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion of 12.11 signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign, motion carries 5-0. That brings us to, those are the items that were pulled, right? Okay, so now, consent. We have information items on our agenda board. All that information is in our packet. There was nobody slated to talk on these items unless anybody had something specific. If not, we will move on to the regular agenda, which is 16.01. This is a blue sheeted item board that's in front of, on the dais in front of everybody.
Motion approved, blue sheet, as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Melendez, a second by Mr. Arguello, to approve item 16.01. Board, any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving item 16.01 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries 5-0. Brings us to, there was another one, so it was 18, so.
Nothing on 17?
Yeah, regular facilities.
I make a motion to approve. Nobody would pull anything for, okay. I make a motion to approve 17.15.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Ms. Castillo with a second by Mr. Bass to approve item 17.15.
The only issue is 1703, I wanted to.
Oh, so you did pull it, okay.
No, I didn't pull it because it was regular consent, we were just pulling
Okay, I withdraw my motion.
Okay,
Withdraw the second.
okay.
And it's only 1703.
Yeah, but we gotta go through there, go ahead. So what's your question?
Can we accept it all except for 1703, so we don't have to go through each one?
Nope, we gotta go through each one, but that's okay.
I'm sorry.
No, that's the procedure, that's.
Sorry.
I mean, that's,
I'll talk to it during board member comments.
okay. Yeah, but just a comment?
Do you have an issue with voting on this? I don't.
No, I don't have an issue with voting on it. That was,
We're not gonna let the procedure of having to go through and change.
Yeah, it's fine.
I mean, if you wanna talk about it, we'll talk about
okay, yeah, we'll talk about it.
it. Okay. That's up to
I
you.
make a motion to approve 17.01.
Second.
Have a motion by Ms. Castillo, with a second by Mr. Bass, to approve item 17.01. Board, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries 5-0. Board 17.02.
Motion approved.
Have a motion by Mr. Melendez,
Second, sorry.
second by Mr. Bass, to approve item 17.02. Board, any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving motion, item 17.02, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those like sign, motion carries 5-0. 17.03, Mr. Melendez.
Yeah, that was the item that we discussed during the workshop, and it was confirmed that they were gonna do the security enhancements to the school as well. I didn't know if that was being added to that GMP, or is that a separate line item on the budget that needs to be approved, or that has already been approved to do those security enhancements?
That's a part of our capital spending plan when we look at our safety and security allocation.
So it's not assigned to this. So do we need approval of that capital expenditure plan to go to the security of the school, or do we already have
When
it?
the capital budget is approved,
It's
when
in
you
there.
make amendments to the budget, it's a part of that process.
All right, motion approved as submitted then.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Melendez, second by Mr. Bass, to
Jesus, we
approve
got a long bunch of them.
item 17.03.
That's what I was like, I was doing it during board member
Thanks, Julie,
comments.
thanks a lot.
Board, any comments, questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those like sign, motion carries 5-0.
Move to approve 1704.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Bass and a second by Ms. Castillo to approve item 17.04. Board, any further questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those like sign, motion carries 5-0. 17.
I make a motion to approve 17.05.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Castillo, a second by Mr. Melendez to approve item 17.05. Board, any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those like sign, motion carries 5-0.
Move to approve 1706.
There's a note, make sure I hear you.
Move to approve 17.06.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Bass, second by Ms. Castillo to approve item 17.06. Board questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those like sign, motion carries 5-0.
Return.
So, 17.
17.07, I make a motion to approve 17.07.
Second.
Robert, you're so enthusiastic.
I have a motion by Ms. Castillo with a second by Mr. Bass to approve item 17.07. Board questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries 5-0. 17.08.
Move to approve 1708.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Bass, second by Ms. Castillo to approve item 17.8. Board, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries 5-0. 17.09.
I'll move to approve 17.09.
Second.
Motion by Ms.
I'll jump in here anytime.
Ms. Castillo with a second by Mr. Bass to approve item 17.09. Board discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item 17.10.
I'll make a motion to approve 17.10.
Second.
A motion by Ms. Castillo, a second by Mr. Melendez to approve item 17.10. Board, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those like sign, motion carries 5-0. 17.11.
I move to approve 17.11.
Second.
A motion by Ms. Castillo, second by Mr. Melendez to approve item 17.11. Board discussion?
No.
Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those like
Move to
sign,
approve
motion carries
1712.
5-0.
Move to approve 1712.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Bass, second by Ms. Castillo.
Almost done, folks.
To approve item 17.12, board discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries 5-0. 17.13,
I move to approve 17.13.
Second.
motion by Ms. Castillo, second by Mr. Bass to approve item 17.13, board discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries 5-0, and we have one more.
I'll make a motion to approve 17.14.
Second with discussion, thank you, Mr. Clench, for prioritizing these radios, because we understand the tilt wall construction, the radios can't go through the building, and so this actually enhances our safety and security aspect too, so now people can actually go out in an emergency and have a discussion. So thank you, staff, for putting these out for your making it a priority.
Have a motion by Ms. Castillo, second by Mr. Melendez to approve item 17.14. Any further discussion on the item? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries 5-0. 18.01, and Mr. Arguello, or somebody had a
Yes,
question on this, I don't remember.
this contract is for a replacement of our current busing GPS system, and it also includes more. So I just wanted to publicly say that this also includes an app for the parents to be able to track their kids, which is a positive thing. To be able to figure out where your kids are exactly, I think it's a great improvement on safety. I also wanted to address that may bring some privacy concerns, which when I actually spoke to Zenobia about it, they weren't completely able to address it, so I'm sure that you guys already thought about this, but I'd love to learn more about that. But overall, it seems like a good system to keep our kids safe. And that's all. I'll motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Arguello, with second by Ms. Castillo, to approve item 18.01. Any further discussion or questions, board? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those like sign, motion carries 5-0. Now we are open for public comment.
I don't see anybody.
No, there's.
I think they may be outside,
They're
I'm
just
not
waiting for
sure.
us to.
Finish the auction. I feel like you got a job doing an auction there, Chairman.
Is there Aiden?
Really made them suffer like that.
Cordum.
Cordum?
Cordum.
Aiden Cordum?
Aiden Cordum, yeah. You're up. Aiden.
Is Aiden here?
Yeah, she's right there.
Okay.
I didn't realize there were that many people in the lot.
She's still
She is. She's a senior.
Aiden, you don't have to give your name and address for the record since you're a student, but just so everybody knows, she has submitted 2 requests to speak on different items. So we will give her 3 minutes on each one of those items. And I don't care which one you do first, I have bright futures in my hand if you want to do it first.
I'd actually like to start first with the comment on graduation issues.
Okay.
I was just wondering, do you guys currently have any plans in place to live stream the class of 2021 graduation?
We do not.
So I would like to open an appeal to have a graduation. I understand the reason for wanting the tickets, and I accept that 4 is enough for my immediate family to come. But there are other people that I would like to see me graduate, my extended family, my friends, and I've worked very hard as a senior to be able to get to this point in my life. And I want to be able to celebrate it with everyone, and Robert, I feel like you can relate here.
Oh, yeah.
Evan's graduating with me too, and I just want to be able to share my accomplishments with everyone in my family, even if they can't physically attend it in person. I would like them to still be able to celebrate me and how hard I've worked to be.
Pace, is this something we could look at doing? I don't know what it entails. Or is there a reason that you can't?
Last year, when we were looking at this, the expense was significant for the infrastructure at OHP to get the job done for all of our graduations. I will have some further conversation with Dana and the team, as well as with potentially Positively Osceola, because they had talked about maybe doing something through Facebook Live, which would not be at such an astronomical cost. Let me do some additional research. I will also share with the board that as vaccinations continue to roll out and COVID starts to come down, and with the CDC's latest guidelines about 3 feet instead of 6 feet, we are actually looking and am working with OHP to determine if we could potentially issue more than 4 tickets, and still have families sit in blocks. So perhaps it could be 6 seats and just 2 seats apart as opposed to 4 seats and 3 seats apart. So we're still exploring some of those options. I just don't wanna overcommit and underdeliver. So, but, you know, we are fully committed to having face-to-face interactions, face-to-face graduations, unless something just goes crazy with COVID between now and the end of May. But we'll continue to try to make it as accessible as we can to all of our families and certainly graduates like you, Aiden.
Okay.
Okay, and then my second comment was on the removal of the confirmation language in Bright Futures. I can't use it. So Bright Futures is really what got me involved in community service in my school. Because of those requirements, the volunteer hours, the ACT, the GPA, those are what really pushed me to work very hard in high school to get to where I am. It got me involved in community service clubs that I grown to love. I'm in National Honor Society, Key Club, Student Council, and all of those I explored because of Bright Futures and how I needed to meet those 100 hours. And without my guarantee of Bright Futures, it may not be possible for me to continue my education in Florida because I could attend private school and receive grants and scholarships from them, which would greatly reduce the cost. Because it is very hard to get a scholarship in a large public school like the University of Florida, which is what I'm planning on attending. And the cost to my parents would just be too great, and I cannot say that I should put them through that when I know there are other options out there for me that would be more financially responsible.
What's the language? What part of it were you speaking on? I know there's a lot of things on Bright Futures as being contended, that was at least being contended this year. So what part of it?
Specifically, the removal of the guarantee of Bright Futures and the extent that it covers the 100% with the stipend and the 75%.
Yeah.
Dr. Pace, I think,
That's why I put that on the agenda.
can bring us up to speed on.
The latest proposed changes to the legislation make it annually dependent on the allocation from the legislative body through the conference process, as opposed to saying, if you meet these criteria, you get 100% of tuition, or this criteria, you get 75% tuition. Currently, the Bright Futures plan is fully funded in the House proposed budget. I can't tell you today where it stands in the Senate budget. I would have to go back and double check. But I think it's that annual unpredictability that Aiden is talking about would be very challenging to students. And we have a lot of our high achieving students who count on Bright Futures as a part of their process.
So I would say for us on the board, what we can do, because that is going to be a state mandate, right? We don't have a lot that we can do after it's done, but we can definitely do things now. I mean, we have we all have relationships with Tallahassee, so I know that we can all kind of put it in their ear. I'm so glad that you came here. This would be a great testimony for us to show our legislators that you definitely depend on that. So thank you so much for coming here. And I would also say, because it hasn't actually been decided yet, that you, your friends, your parents can also contact your legislators and let them know this is how it's going to affect me. So it's gonna take all of us to have that conversation. But what we can do is advocate at this point, and I'm sure that we're all willing to do that. Well, let me speak for myself. I'm willing to do that. I don't wanna speak for the rest of the board.
Ms. Melendez?
Yeah, I'm willing to advocate for that as well. And with the board's direction, we could probably call Rutledge Yesenia. We have a lobbyist in Tallahassee full time, because we had created a priority before session started, because these legislators created this ad hoc, kind of surprised me if they were gonna make changes. So we've been willing to tell our lobbyists to put that bug in their ear. And I don't know if we can do a resolution ourselves. I mean, it's non-binding, but a resolution that says, hey, we support Bright Futures to make the whole, and maybe we can submit it there. Now, timing, I'm not sure, because the legislative process is already there.
Set it now.
But we could definitely direct our lobbyists to do that. And then the other item, you mentioned about graduations, man, I feel for you. I'll tell you right now, I feel for you so much that I'm willing to say to the rest of this board, maybe we could figure out a way, because I positively Osceola can do there. And I'm willing to, I know there's emergency powers, because we're on timing, that you can spend money on certain things. And positively Osceola needs extra money to get another camera, it's because he could probably live stream himself. I'm willing to support something like that because, and I feel for it, because regardless of how many tickets we get, they've gone through so much through Corona, through prom, they made sacrifice after sacrifice. I think this board we'll find the money. We got stimulus dollars, whatever, and I'm telling you right now, if it's the rest of the board's direction to live stream that, we find a way to live stream it, because that's how important it is to me. This student came to me, and it's not the only one. Man, their whole graduation has been ruined from last year. We need to step up, and if funding's an issue, funding is not an issue with me. That's a priority for me to fund that.
If we hit any snags with live streaming, well, I mean, I'm trying to think, why couldn't it be recorded and then as soon as it's.
I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Oh, I'm sorry, as soon as, rather than, I mean, if we hit any snags with live stream, why can't you record it and as soon as you record it, then publish it?
Absolutely, it doesn't have to be live stream, I agree.
Okay, I would think
Well,
that would be.
I think the consensus
We're gonna
for
try.
you and for direction for Dr. Pace is to find a way to help you and students like you, share this moment with your family. So I'm not sure that we have a specific direction yet, but I do know that my kid's graduating next year. I know yours is this year, so this is definitely a priority for we're parents and as well as board members, so we understand.
Yeah, I'm sure that there is a company that is there filming already and they're doing everything. They just sell for profit, right? So if you're a student that's graduating, there'll be someone who's filming you. They're just going to charge you money for doing it. Maybe we can't. I don't think it's too complicated. All it takes is a phone to live stream something. Maybe at each individual school, it's as simple as allowing a couple of juniors with a couple of different angles, just videotaping the graduation and live streaming it. I'm sure that everyone who would want to celebrate with you would be happy to, log on to Facebook, right, and watch you do it in there. And it might be a great place to commemorate the comments that people make and the congratulations. And so I wouldn't want to overcomplicate this because when it comes to a school district, if we're the ones that are going to pay for it, we're going to pay big for it. Right? Like, there's going to be 1 million people salivating at the idea of them coming to do that service for us, and I'm not so sure that that's even necessary. Maybe if we just provide the people at the schools access to be able to do it, then that will suffice for everyone involved.
If you'll have Dana call me tomorrow, I'll talk to Spectrum and see if they.
Well, I also have Vicki Hickey, who is our director for high school curriculum and instruction, who is responsible for our overall graduations, texting me saying that some of the schools already have some tools and equipment and could potentially do this, and you'll work to share that so that it can be a reality for everyone. As Mr. Bass said, if for any reason we can't make it live stream because of Wi-Fi or whatever at that particular moment, because I know last year when we were looking to do this, with Facebook Live, the challenge is if you've got 5,000 people logging on at the same time, then the system goes down and people are frustrated and all those types of things. So potentially what we would do, because remember, we've got 3.5 days solid of boom, 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 boom graduations. So I am confident that we can get it recorded. If it's not live stream, it can still be shared with family, but we'll do everything that we can, and I'll bring something back to this board, or either I'll send you something in a board update about what we figured out. How's that?
Oh, last thing too, Alex's graduation is the same time as ours. Can we cancel our board meeting or something like that, or change the board meeting time? I want to be able to go to.
Change the board meeting time, it's earlier that
I was gonna say, Dr. Pace, next year, we cannot have a board meeting at the same time as Oxfam.
I want to go to Oxford graduation.
And we're planning on it, we have an early meeting, so just plan on keeping the agenda tight, conversation tight, and we'll be there with no problem.
Okay, I promise I'll be.
David, I think we heard you.
You had something else,
did a
honey?
great job. Thank you for coming and speaking to us. And I think we might have the same thing, Dina? And Dina, you do need to give us your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
Sure. My name is Dina Cordum. I live at 3367 West Shore Drive. I'm just adding on to Aiden's statement about Bright Futures and just giving you a little bit of background. In 2018, the Florida legislature signed into effect a statutory guarantee of Bright Futures at 100% tuition and fees and a $600 book stipend for the Florida Academic Scholars, or a 75% tuition plus fees for Florida Medallion Scholars. In 2019, they raised the minimum test score requirements for the class of 2021. Last week on Wednesday, the Florida Senate Appropriations Committee favorably passed the Senate Bill 86 on for the upcoming full Senate vote, which takes place tomorrow. This bill, while adding the requirement for the state to build a career education portal and mandating career counseling to college students, it silently erased the guaranteed funding for our best and brightest students and ties funding to a fluctuating yearly state budget. The impact of this change is very daunting. It affects many students in our district, including mine. My daughter Aiden is a senior at Harmony High School. She has worked continuously towards high school credits since 7th grade. She has volunteered countless hours, taken the SAT and ACT multiple times. She's taken 15 AP classes and maintained an exceptional 4.54 GPA, all in hopes of earning Bright Futures Merit Scholarship in a place at one of the best universities in the nation. She applied to many in and out of state public and private schools and was accepted at all of them. She was even awarded more than $480,000 in out-of-state and in-state private school academic scholarships over those 4 years. On February 26th, she was accepted into the University of Florida, and she quickly accepted with the knowledge that even though she did not earn a merit scholarship at the University of Florida, she did have bright futures to make her dream of attending a reality. A mere 2 weeks later, after the announcement of the acceptances to the University of Florida, this was all in jeopardy. Our family is delighted that she qualifies for the highest level of bright futures. In fact, we desperately need it, as this fall we'll have 2 children in college, and the FAFSA excludes them from earning grants and tuition assistance based on our family income and estimated family contribution. Our out-of-pocket expense is nearly $20,000 before any aid is provided to our family. Additionally, FAFSA no longer gives breaks when there are multiple family members in school. So in order to make college possible for our children, large student debt is the likelihood without the financial assistance of Bright Futures. I'm here today simply to bring your attention to the fight to save Bright Futures as it currently stands. The scholarship funds are for students who are entitled to them based on their hard work and completion of set guidelines that they understood and completed with the knowledge that funding would be guaranteed. And while the Appropriations Committee wants people to believe that Senate Bill 86 remains the same with only the addition of career education component, the fact is it is not the same and will hurt the students that have earned Bright Futures by not guaranteeing their awards benefit. Please consider how hurtful this bill is to the students of Osceola County and help us fight against Senate Bill 86. Reach out to those contacts, tell them to vote no and to veto Senate Bill 86 before tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Deanna. I think all of our comments from a minute ago continue, so. Mr. Phelps? Do you have something else, dude?
No, I didn't know if you were.
No, I just said the comments we all talked about with Aiden.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. David Phelps, 10524 Belfry Circle, Orlando, Florida. I'm here tonight to thank Robert Bass, our board member that has spent some volunteer time as well as his own personal resources at Tohoku High School to make it a better place. Earlier tonight, I had 3 other colleagues here to also say thank you, but they have children and other obligations at home. But I get to at least publicly say thank you to Mr. Bass for your volunteerism and your support for our high school. And just want to say that publicly, thank you.
I appreciate that, sir.
Thank
you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Phelps.
Joseph Rolick, did I say that right? Not here. Noah Jenkins. Noah, come up, please, give us your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Noah Jenkins. I live at 2545 Osceola Drive. And I'm here, I am the president and the leader of the Osceola Political Union. And we are a union of high school students from across the district that every single week we talk about different political issues. Every week, one of our members actually writes a quite lengthy policy brief, essentially like a position paper on a political issue that we talk about the next week. And from the beginning, our goal, our mission has been to, number one, increase discourse, because of course, in our country today, people don't talk to each other about political issues, and we are really fostering that skill amongst our members. And additionally, we are learning about different political perspectives. So often we are always insulated into our political bubble, but this has allowed us to, these one-hour meetings have allowed us to exchange political ideas, and people on the opposite side of the aisle from me, I've learned from them, and people on the opposite side of the aisle from me, they have learned from me as well. One of our biggest problems that we're facing right now, though, is our membership. I have personally reached out to all the principals of high schools that we have not reached. We've reached about half the high schools. And our membership numbers are just not really high, which is our main concern right now. And we do have a lot of time for the future. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of JSA, the Junior Statesmen of America. We want to affiliate with them. I reached out to the Southeast coordinator, however, we just need more people. That's our main concern right now. But the main reason why I'm here really is to allow everybody here, and of course the board members, to know that we are here and what we are doing. Because we do believe it's a very noble goal, and we do believe what we're doing is very noble, and we are cultivating effectively the future leaders of Osceola County, and we're very proud of that fact. But of course, if you guys can think of any ways you could help us in achieving our goals, now or in the future, we'd be completely open to that. So on behalf of the Osceola Political Union, I'd like to thank everybody here for listening to what I was saying. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Noah.
Are you based out of a particular school, or are you like all schools? I'm kind of
Yes, so our goal is to get to as many schools as possible because we believe that there.
Where do you guys meet? Do you guys rotate schools? You meet at Liberty? I mean, like, where do you physically get together?
So we started back earlier this year, so because of COVID, obviously, we never have an actual meeting place. But right now, we're meeting over Teams. I'm at St. Cloud High School, so one thing Mr. Gass for allowing.
You're very welcome. I'm glad I'm proud of you.
I've been several times.
Yep.
So I'm based at St. Cloud High School, and we have members at Tilho High School. We have members at Tilho. We have members at Oxa, Neo City, and Osceola. So again, there's so much of the district that is not represented there. We want to get as many voices as possible.
Well, anything I can do, I keep speaking for everybody else, let me know. You can write me an email. I'm happy to, help you in whatever way I can.
Okay.
And I'll do the same. We'll stay in contact, Noah.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you could maybe, Tanya, can you reach out to him and get his contact information? We can shoot him an email and.
Yeah.
I think next year will be better, because then COVID will hopefully die down by then. I think COVID's messing with your membership numbers.
You came to the right group to get help for that kind of thing.
Thank you very much.
Yes, and you did a great job.
Excellent.
We're good, Noah.
Yeah.
So. Now we have several people, I think, speaking on the same issue, but we'll start with April Isaacs. April, you know the drill, name and address.
April Isaacs, 1911 Kings Point Boulevard, City, Florida. Good evening. I want to congratulate the board, first of all, for finding money for our ESPs. Well, some of them. Our ESP bonuses are well deserved, and they actually deserve much more, as I'm sure that you all would agree with. But I do want to say thank you, and yet I'm still a bit confused. How does the board justify the decision, or your decision, of giving only part of the ESPs the same bonus, the 3%? In particular, don't get me wrong, I'm grateful for the fact that the 12-month employees got the 3% bonus. But are you then saying to the other employees, the other ESPs, that because you lack 2, 3, 1 month, you're not worth the same amount of a bonus? These ESPs, they deal with children every day that are behavior issues, they have emotional issues, they have physical issues, and every day they come to work and get paid less money than probably they could make by staying home and actually claiming COVID rights. And that's just not right. They substitute in classrooms, they substitute in lunchrooms, they're in the parking lot directing traffic when our teachers and our administration can't be found. They're the ones who actually take money out of their pockets to supply their one-on-one assignments. They keep our schools well documented for Title I grants. And they basically keep our schools safe, not only from the students, but the students from themselves sometimes. I have an ESP in my classroom. She's on a one-on-one assignment. Her name is Miss Judy. She must follow this student, one student, all day long and try to get him to go to classes, which of course, he is the master of manipulation and he will never go to class. Are you telling me that she's not worth as much as a 12-month ESP employee? Because I can assure you she is. I'm just a simple teacher. I really am. I'm nothing special. But Miss Judy is a superhero. She's masquerading every day as just a normal person, an ESP. And yet, when I watch her, I know how lucky we are. Because I know how she keeps that room, that hallway, that bathroom safe. Because she's with that child. Every morning, I see her come in and dedicate her day. And I think, my goodness, she sticks to that child like a religion. No matter where he goes, she goes. And she makes that school safer. She doesn't just deserve our admiration and appreciation. She deserves something that everyone or that part of the ESPs are getting right now, a 3% bonus. I, for one, I'm willing to speak out. For the 9-month, for the 10-month, and for the 11-month ESPs. My name is April Isaacs, and I stand for my ESPs, brothers and sisters, because they don't get a realistic bonus offer. I'm proud of them. Our schools are proud of them. I'm hoping that you are proud of them. And treat them with the respect that they deserve. And please,
Ms. Isaac, go ahead, wrap it up.
show them that they know that you love them, you know that they respect them. You are the only people that can actually fix this. You are the only ones that can vote to give them the same raise, the same bonus as everyone else. I thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you. Helen Condo?
Close enough.
Close?
Close.
Please give us your name and address for the record,
Hi,
please.
my name is Helen Portuando and I live at 825 Louisiana Avenue here in St. Cloud. I am a teacher and I'm a special needs teacher for a medically fragile classroom, an ESC classroom, and I'm here to advocate for all the ESP workers, especially, I just want to know that all the workers, all ESP workers, they are valuable and they are essential. And whatever capacity that they're working in, whether it's in the front office, whether it's in car duty, or in any one of the classrooms. If any one of those subgroups couldn't make it to school, I don't think that a school that they could run as successfully as it normally could. To give more to one and less to another after they voted on it, after there was an agreement, that's just very egregious to me. And I think that it's disrespectful to the voting system, and it's also disrespectful to the people that are going to get less. I just want to tell you a quick second about my room and why I'm here for my parents. I asked my parents, hey, why don't you write? Why don't you write a note, speak up? They didn't think it was worth it because they didn't think that anybody cared. So that made me super sad. So I'm here to show them, if they're watching YouTube, I don't know, that I am here because I do care about them. In my room, the medically fragile, they need constant supervision. They cannot do anything on themselves. They need to be diapered. They need to be fed. There are G-tubes. There are seizures. There are all kinds of things in my room going on at any moment's notice. My paras, the paras that I work with, that I'm honored to work with, they know how to stay calm and react in a situation, an emergency situation that has happened. So the classroom that I have, not anyone could do. It takes a very special person. You might not have the heart or the stomach to see what you see in our classroom on a daily basis. But my paras do. The paras I work with do. They teach me every day, and I hope that I teach them something. In my school, our main motto is all means all. And I encourage you guys to think that all ESP, whether it's front office,
whether it's the paras or auxiliary, that's how it should be. All means all, and that they should all be considered the same. They should all be given the same percentage, the same amount. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Mr. Arway, you have
Yeah, I wanted to thank you guys for coming in and stating that. And I just want to make sure, because there's a lot of miscommunication about this, but there's, as far as what I understand, there's no one getting less than 3%. You're either getting 3% or you're getting $700, whichever is greater. That's the offer that is on the table. That's not up for debate, because that's just numbers, right? Like if I tell you, here's the $5 bill, you can't tell me that's not a $5 bill, right? So, Mr. Boyd, correct me if I'm wrong, the deal right now is $700 or 3%, is that correct? So whichever is higher is what you guys receive. That's the offer that's on the table that you guys are voting on right now.
That is correct. I think what they're concerned about though is when they voted the first time through, it was $765 that was offered and accepted.
Okay.
So that's what they're concerned.
So right now, that just, again, to reiterate, please correct me if I'm wrong, the positions were that prior, you and everyone was gonna get $765, right? It was across, everyone received $765. What that meant is that some people would get $765, and the people who would have gotten 3% instead got less than 1.7% or something like that, right? So your coworkers along with you who would have received 3% were gonna get their 7%, their 3% taken away, and then it was gonna be given to other people. And so what the school district has done is that they've offered everyone 3% or $700, whichever is greater, so that we can try to make as many people whole, according to their understanding, as we possibly could, right? So everyone is getting more under this. You're getting more, yes, ma'am. So you're getting more than you would have gotten, right, if you were to get 3%. So 3% is no longer 3%. The only way that you're getting 3% even is if your 3% is more than 765. So, or 700, I'm sorry, right? So the difference, the only way, the person that's most damaged by the offer on the table right now is losing $65, so that the people who were getting money taken away from them from 3%, what they would have gotten, to 1 point something, is they can be made whole. So we think that it was a fair situation, and I hope that you guys consider it, and definitely that you guys are aware of the actual deal that's on the table, so that we can speak from that kind of thing. Because I promise you, I very rarely do I speak for anyone besides myself, okay? Sometimes not even that. But people care about paras. And this deal is not reflective of how much we care. It's reflective of the realities of governing a school district which has 70,000 students, 8,000 employees, and a budget that encompasses more than just salaries, right? But there's no amount of love, there's no amount of dollars that's gonna equal love in this situation, and we all appreciate our paraprofessionals. We all appreciate what everyone does at every school, during every minute. And believe me, as someone who has visited a lot of schools in my short time here, I absolutely am intimately familiar with not having the heart or the stomach to do that type of job. And I completely relate to it, and I've been in that situation, and I completely understand. And believe me, we care about those people just as much. And it's not about money in this situation. It's just about making everyone whole, not just a small group or a number of people. We're trying to be just for everyone. So that's really what I say.
Ms. Gleason?
Can I go ahead and
Yeah.
come up and speak now?
Huh?
Can I go ahead and speak now?
Yeah, just call me.
Okay, I want to give you each one of these of our progress together and try to explain where we're coming from. If you'll be
Just, of course.
nice enough to listen, one for everybody.
Okay.
Okay, and I appreciate it for this.
I'll give you mine for the record in a minute.
I'm Barb Gleason. I'm at 324 Indiana Avenue in St. Cloud. Mr. Osceola, I am a 12-month employee. But I am willing to give up some of that to share with everyone. What the decision that you all made previously and you want us to be so thankful for is you're taking away from that lower end again, because those people were counting on that $765. Now you're saying 700, what's the big deal? But let me just go on and look at our progress together in this packet. Like previous years, what we were trying to do with OCEA was the right thing by dispersing the monies available equally among all of our unit members. Okay, the dollar portion of the previous ratification process has nothing to do with the pandemic. So we're not talking pandemic, we're not talking who worked all summer, who worked this long, who didn't work. We're talking about people. So, and believe it or not, the way that we chose to disperse the amount we were given is not an uncommon practice. I don't see everybody jumping them down and running to the IRS saying, I want more of a stimulus than the same amount that everybody else is getting. Or the governor saying, we have the money for the teachers, the bonus, and the principals, and it will be a flat $1,000. We're not going to split it up based on school demographics or your school population, or because you participate in extracurricular duties, or you're pulled away from your school or from your family because you have to spend more time at your school, so we'll give you more. It's an even amount, and that's all we were trying to do. So why should those people that expected they were getting $765 get any less than that? Okay, we're not looking at the percentage on their base salary. It's a flat amount. It's a one-time, non-reoccurring, taxable supplement. So they're not getting that. And we shouldn't let them get a penny less than that. And that's what our question is. Why are some worth less than others? Why are some ESPs worth less than others? If we went with the flat rate. And we know at this time that a lot of Florida's economics is based on the service industry, the hospitality industry, and it's put a lot of those people out of work. So our ESPs that work a second job, a third job, have lost their jobs in those industries or hours in those industries. And today, research shows 1 in 4 families who report not having enough food to eat at their tables has an income over $50,000 a year, annual income. That, in our unit, is maybe 1.5% of those people make over $50,000. Okay, so what about everybody else? You know, so as you're reminded so kindly by Ms. Castillo, when you voted 4-1 in favor of turning down the ratification packet, there was more at stake than just dollars. You had looked through the whole packet.
Ms. Lee, just go ahead and start wrapping it up to you.
I am, that's where I am.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's all right, that's okay, go ahead.
So what we're asking is to not take away any of those dollars, give them what was expecting, do the best for all of our ESPs, and do what's right and show some grace and compassion. So I hope that helps a little bit to explain where our thoughts are coming from.
Thank you, Ms. Gleason. Mr. Allen, oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry. You can start coming up. Julius, go ahead.
Yeah, it might be Mr. Allen today. I squared away with the attorney to make sure I'm allowed to ask that question, because the initial offer before that, the initial offer was an even 3% to everybody. And I thought that was fair. You said, when you talk about valuing everybody evenly, we offered 3% across the board. So we didn't offer 765. You guys came back and said, hey, change it to 765. So I just want to make sure we're clear on that. When you say we don't value everybody equally, we said everybody 3%. And you just mentioned in your testimony that, hey, I wanted to give up part of my 3% to give to the 765, but that's not fair for everybody else to give up the 3% when admin and everyone else got 3%. So technically speaking, we valued everybody evenly. It's you that didn't value everyone evenly because you didn't think that everyone was worth 3%.
That's not true. That's not accurate.
Okay, do we not offer you guys 3%?
That's not accurate. What we negotiated.
Let's let him introduce himself. Go, get it.
I don't want to talk about that. That's not what I came here for. But I do want to set the record straight on something. So there was a mystical 3%. SDOC said that's the amount of money that we're willing to give you for contract negotiations. The two teams negotiated, we had a tentative agreement for $765. Then it was presented to the school board and you all turned it down. That's what's sticking in the craw of so many people, because through the democratic process, we came to an agreement and then the school board decided, nope, that's not good enough. That's what they're upset about.
But why did they vote that though? Why did they vote that? I know it's a democratic process, but why did they vote to not give everyone 3%?
They did, they did.
We did.
Not them, I'm talking about them internally. I'm like, why didn't you vote to give everyone the
The
same
teams got
percentage?
together, we did our thing, we came up with an agreement, the team that represented you all came up, agreed with us, then it was presented to you all, and you voted against it. That is what sticks in people's craw. 60%, 61% of people voted for something, y'all said, nope, not doing it. And by the way, I'm happy that you decided to give those people 3% because they get more, but at the same time, it hurts what faith do they have in voting, their vote counting for something, if they come here and you guys vote against it? That's what they're feeling. That's what her ESPs were feeling. Why say anything? So is that enough? Can I go ahead and say what I really?
You ready to do your, what?
Yes, sir.
What, can I, Mr. Bass, do you want to let him speak first, or you have a comment?
I've sat here for the last month, and I'm gonna echo exactly what my fellow board members says. We care about each and every one of you. And let me tell you, I was a rookie board member, and this came up very early when I first began. And the way I understood it, we did offer 3%. They take the 3%, they multiplied it by the salaries from top to bottom. That's how you arrived at the 760. It wasn't just arbitrarily pulled from the air. You arrived at that conclusion of 760. It was 700, and then we added to it, made it to 765. We started getting comments from those who were at the upper end, who were going to be receiving 3 coming down. We as board members can't negotiate. We can only say yes or no. So during that process, prior to the board meeting, I reached out to Dr. Pace and others, and I said, is there anything we can do? Is there any other money that's out there that we can, and I was told, yes, there's more money that we can add to it. But I can't say that. I can only say yes or no. So when it comes up to vote, I voted no. But the reason I voted no is because I knew it was going to be going back to the table and more money was going to be given and we could probably benefit. But then it was a barrage of people up there that was just bashing us, and that's where I take offense to it, because my no was not a no of negativity. It was a no of knowing that it was going to be more money. So that's where I have the heartache. So
Yes, are we getting close to?
I'm sorry.
I would allow him to, if he wanted to speak on a topic, I'd move on.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
My apologies. Board.
Sorry, Larry. Now you're on. Take your time.
Larry Allen, 722 Added, Kissimmee, Florida. And here we go. I'm sure some of you saw the headlines. Governor proposes $1,000 for teachers. And I'm here tonight to make sure you all understand, school board members, Dr. Pace, the community at large, you all know that there's more to that story than a catchy headline. What you may not know is that the proposal leaves out the ESPs, the bus drivers, the cafeteria workers, maintenance, food service workers, clerical, a whole bunch of people, probably anyone who's not defined as a classroom teacher. So that means guidance counselors, media specialists, deans. His press conference left out that that's federal stimulus money, and it's estimated that the governor's $1,000 proposal is only about 2% of the money that will be coming down to the different school districts. What he failed to mention is that this money can be negotiated. You all are the elected officials in Osceola County. Can you all hear me? I'm not sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, good. You know what's best as far as Osceola County issues go as compared to people in Tallahassee. Please don't let them take your authority, your power. We elected you to work for us, for our community. At the same time the governor was talking about how much he cares about teachers, there's still bills out there that call that into question. There's this pension plan. They don't want new guys to join the pension plan. It's one of the best in the country, but they don't want new people to join it. That's going to could destabilize it, and that will put 2.6 million Floridians at retirement risk. There's SB 1014, HB 835, making it harder for us to advocate for our coworkers and our students. There are some counties where there are 500 different options educators can choose for payroll deduction. You know, anything from life insurance to a gym membership. But there's only one that they don't want educators to be able to do payroll deduction. Guess what that is? And it's going to cost about $400,000 in extra personnel just to handle all the extra paperwork it's going to create for the Public Employee Relations Commission and for SDLC employees. So why is Tallahassee stomping all over my freedom to spend my money how I choose to spend my money? Why just educate? Why is Tallahassee focusing on these things when they could be focusing on how better to support our students who are in the middle of a worldwide traumatic event? And why are we even doing high-stakes testing? I'm telling you all this because I know you have people that go to Tallahassee to advocate for Osceola County. And I don't want you to forget about us. These bills aren't hurting unions, they're hurting our neighbors, they're hurting the people that help raise our kids. So please look out for us so we can look out for our students. If you need more info, you can go to feaweb.org. If you need help finding your Florida representative or senator, it's called Find My Florida Representative or Senator, or you can call the OCEA office like the parent was talking about. This stuff is happening right now. I don't know how much time I have. This stuff is happening right now, so it can't just be you. It's got to be everybody out there in TV land, too, actually talking to those people, making things happen. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Powell. All right, that's the only request to speak that I have. Any others? Going once, going twice? No? That will close the public comment portion of the meeting. Mr. Kreppenbacher, do you have any issues?
The first thing I just want to point out before people get crazy about stimulus money, that all the finance directors were told in the state that the stimulus money will be released with restrictions and strings attached. So
Right, if they can't hear in the back, we got to do something more.
The state has already told all the finance directors that the money from the stimulus is going to be released with restrictions and requirements. So it's not going to be, here's $100 million, have at it. So we don't know what those will be at this point. The only item, Mr. Chairman, I have on the agenda is a request that the board adopt policy and procedures. We will then go through with Mr. Boyd the formal adoption process on Title IX. You have in front of you the memo I've written on it, the policy, and I have attached what just was issued within the last 2 weeks. This memo is a memo from the federal agency Civil Rights Directors and General Counsels written by the Civil Rights Division on how their interpretation of Title IX as it relates to gender identity and sexual orientation. They see it covered by Title IX, so they are going to interpret Title IX as covering that area too. And this will, and I want to emphasize to anybody who's listening, this is part of a process. This is not the end of the process. And I want to thank particularly Terry Castillo and the superintendent. This was a very sensitive, very complex issue that we worked through. We tried to address a lot of the concerns that were raised. We believe this is a good start where our students will have access to a procedure and a process if they believe they are in any way being violated as interpreted by Title IX. Additionally, to the extent they're being violated beyond Title IX, this would also make assistance available to them.
Do we need direction from us to?
You would.
I need to be able to read this like in silence to really understand it, for one.
This may be just a matter of current events, but no person in the United States shall on the basis of sex be excluded from participation in be denied the benefit of or be subjected to discrimination under any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. Does this mean that boys in our school will be allowed to play girls' sports?
That is a major issue going on in various places in the country, and it is being fought. I will tell you, I hate to use labels, but there are those who would interpret it as yes. There is a place I know of where a boy didn't make the boys' baseball team and 2 days later said, I identify as a female and trying out for the girls' softball team. Massachusetts, the parents filed a suit over a boy who said he was a girl and has won every track meet for 3 years. So the answer is, this is a developing law, but I can tell you the federal government tends to interpret these in the broadest possible way possible. So until we get the particular facts, I can't tell you what the particular answer is.
And are we going to come up with a policy of some sort regarding the same?
No.
May I please interject?
Yes.
Because this is, the conversation's being a little derailed right now. This is not about any, this is, okay, let me speak slowly. I know that most of you are new on the board, but we have had this conversation about implementing these specific policies since you were on the board. And the first page, which I believe was, please correct me if I'm wrong, was this sent to the board before today's meeting?
Yes.
Yes, I read it, yeah.
Okay, because there's a lot of data and information here and history. This came about from a situation that happened with former students at OXA. I don't know if you were following this when you were, all of you, when you were not on the board. It was a pretty substantial situation where students were saying that they had been sexually abused by other students, and they wanted us to help them to be able to feel comfortable reporting these issues. This issue has been worked on for months. I would be in favor of not giving our attorney any action right now if you need to read this, because it is substantial information that I feel we should, if you're going to give direction, you should understand where it came from. But I will, and I know this sounds terrible, but I will say this was sent to you before today's meeting for a reason, so that you can be prepared to give direction.
And I apologize, I missed it.
Mr. Chairman, let me separate two things. One is the policy of Title IX. I gave you a memo that they just pushed out to all their general counsels.
So these are not,
as
these
to
are
how they're
separate things,
interpreting it.
please.
This policy in no way takes a position on the issue covered by the federal government. Right? It does not take a position on that one way or another. I can research that particular issue more and see where I think we come down. But I would like us to get going on this Title IX, because we heard stories that I wouldn't want to repeat that were heartbreaking.
I understand, but I think where the reservations are, if I understand it correctly, is by implementing the Title IX to address the issue that happened in OXA, that it doesn't hog tie us to then
It does not.
affecting sports programs. and
No,
things like
it
that. We want to
takes
be able
no
to make sure
position
that
on
they're
that.
completely
Yeah.
separate, that
All
one does
it
not
would
impact.
require would be, depending upon what position the district took, if somebody said it was a Title IX violation, this would give them the ability to file it with us and say, we think you're violating the law. But ultimately, the board would have to establish its position on that. Totally separate. You're not in any way tied to a position on that issue. And I wanted you to see it's coming.
I'm always afraid of no good deed goes unpunished. And whenever something is kind of broad in nature and scope, it always becomes something that's dangerous.
This policy, guys.
But it's not broad in nature, it lists 10
if I may
specific
finish.
things.
If I may finish.
You may, but I'm just, you may
Go ahead,
finish,
Ms.
I will
Berman.
stop.
Okay, so I just think that we should maybe, Frank, if you would meet with each individual school board member, and then maybe we can, I missed it, I didn't see it, so I haven't read it. So maybe give us the opportunity each to read it, develop our thoughts a little bit more, so that we don't go off half-cocked and then, conversation. I absolutely trust your legal expertise in this, and that's not the issue at all. I don't trust my lack of having seen this prior, so I'd definitely, when I open it and I see one sentence and I see something, then immediately current events come to my mind, and I'm just, so in the abundance of caution.
You'll never have me lock you into a position.
I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Okay.
So what,
I will talk with, if we can put it on the next.
Can we- yeah, let's put it on the
I'll talk
agenda.
with each board member
It is
again
actually
regarding the.
ISR, so it'll need to be tabled or.
Oh, it is an action item, yeah.
Do we have a table? to the
Motion to
next
table
meeting?
item
I'll
2021.
second.
have a motion by Mr. Melendez, with a second by Mr. Ashrae to approve, or to table item 20.01. Board, any further discussion?
The only discussion that I will have, I know, I'm being Terry again, because this is not the first time you're seeing this. We have been having this conversation for months. So in general, I just would ask guys, that's the reason why things are sent to you the week before, so that we are ready to make these decisions. So I'm always in favor of tabling it. I'm just a little taken aback by the fact that something that is an agenda item, even if you did not get the email, the documents you're looking at are in the agenda.
And I will just tell you, I apologize, I missed it.
I understand, and again,
And
I apologize for being so, I guess, I'm gonna use the word emotional, but the reason I'm emotional about it is because there are children who asked us to get this done.
I'm all for what you're doing,
Yes.
I
I understand,
don't know what it
I
says, but I'm not-
apologize.
And not only that,
I
Terry, and
apologize.
I understand where you're coming from too, like, I read it and I'm cool with it, but the issue is current events have happened that it could be misinterpreted, and I think they wanna be just in case, like, ooh, I wanna make sure that we're not impacting the athletics department, that one thing doesn't have an unintended consequence. So, I read it and I'm okay with it, but when they brought it up, I'm like, oops, I read it, but do I understand what I read? Or
Pretty
does it have the
confident they're
ability
two
to
different
affect
things.
something else? Well, we just wanna make clear. We just-
I understand,
if
you know what,
process it,
totally understand, I am in support of tabling it because I want people to make decisions based on their facts and how they feel. But I do wanna echo and say this again, team, our work is very difficult and we have to come to the table ready to make decisions. This was already in the agenda. Even if you didn't get the email, it's in the agenda. That's what I'm saying, and it's not just this, it's in general. Totally get it, I'm being like a negative Nancy right now, but this is our meeting, the public is just invited, right? So as a point of, just as a point, let's just try to make sure that we read everything before we come to meetings and then not be able to make a decision because we haven't actually done the pre-work, is all I'm saying. And I apologize if this is offensive to anybody, super busy, all of us are, but I just wanted to make that clear.
I got two things. One, the bottom line is, we're not here for ourselves. The public is not just observing, they are the entire reason that we're
The
here.
reason I said that,
I'm
Mr.
speaking,
Arguello,
and if you would allow me, my name's Arguello, and if you would allow me to finish, I would appreciate it. The fact is, we are here to make decisions on behalf of the public. I haven't spoken to any of my community members to find out how they feel about this. And maybe that's my oversight, but I'm not gonna I will apologize to the public in District 3 who voted me in, who made that decision that I did not receive this in advance. Also, I was waiting to see what Frank's comments were on this issue. So, I'm not here to explain myself to you, and I think that over the past several meetings, you have made a specific choice to attack other board members for being what you perceive to be prepared or not. And I think, why don't we just stay in our own lanes? I'm here to vote. I'm here to decide and have my discussions, not here to be questioned by other board members on whether or not I'm prepared. So I'm gonna do what my job is, which is to go out into my community, find out how they feel about this, and then I'll come back and I'll be ready to vote.
so the reason I stated this is our meeting is because when I'm speaking to you, I'm not trying to make a political conversation. I'm just speaking to you as a fellow board member. So, fine, we're gonna move on, no problem.
We take the vote.
We're tabling it, right? I think somebody already made the motion.
motion.
First and a second.
Yeah, and Julius, you made the motion?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Arguello made the second.
Yes.
We have, I'm sorry. A motion by Mr. Melendez, with a second by Mr. Arguello, to table item 20.01. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those like sign, motion carries. Terry, did you vote? You aye?
Yeah, aye.
5-0. Okay. Unfinished business, none. New business, do we have any new business? I know there's some people have some comments, some things they want to talk about. We can do that under the board member comments section. Right now. So I'm assuming that's where we're going. Board members, anybody have any comments or questions?
I just had the two comments that I was put on the agenda, but we're running so late, I don't wanna spend a lot of time. I just gave you an informational packet on my little project for my booster, startup kit, for lack of a better word, and I want to, Ryan Adams is on board with it, and I have met with some of the fundraising, companies that we use at Harmony, and they've done phenomenally well, like snap raise, vertical raise, we've got one team can raise $10,000 just like that, with their program. So I'm gonna set a pretty lofty goal of maybe like $500,000 for next year. Y'all laugh if you want to, we'll see. I'm not. No, I'm serious. I want to set myself a lofty goal, and I want to, once I get this all ironed out, and then I want to meet with all the athletic directors, through Ryan Adams, and see if we can't help offset some of these costs and help so our athletic departments raise their own funds instead of having to constantly having to come to the district for funds. So it can be done. We've raised over $200,000 in the last 3 years at Harmony, either through in-kind or for contractual donations and events and fundraisers and merchandise sales. So I know it can be done. It's just a matter of getting people motivated and getting parents and getting people on board. So that's gonna be my goal. It's gonna be my little pet project, and I'll update you as,
Good luck.
Well, we'll see.
I'm all in on that.
Yeah, we'll see.
I would like to steal your template and use it for like the arts, because a lot of times students
Yeah,
can
yeah,
afford an
right.
instrument
For
or
the
something
arts
like that, or
and
they something
band.
breaks. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because if you got a good structure in place and are successful, I'd like to.
There's a lot of good people out there, and and one last component to that, and this for a topic for another day, but dress code. I know I've reached out to all of my principals just to kind of give them a general. Don't laugh. Now I'm giggling over here in the peanut gallery. I think they all collectively like the dress code, but that we can make some tweaks to it. I believe, with regard to, I see a lot of grinning out here, so. No, I know they're spending an awful lot of time trying to police, zip up, zip down, pull over, not pull over, hoodie versus non-hoodie, So some of them have said, maybe some tweaking could help prevent some of that. But I know some of the products that we sold at Harmony just sold phenomenally well, and they were tasteful, and they looked nice. I sent all of you a link so you can have an opportunity to look at them. So.
Can we do annually reconvene the dress code committee?
Yeah,
This time
I like that.
Or that we
Just
can
bring
make
me
that
in,
very
yeah.
inclusive, bring you in,
Okay.
and certainly take any feedback from the board as we look to make adjustments to our student code of conduct for the upcoming school year. So we'll certainly take that input into consideration.
thank you.
And Mr. Phelps will be right on it.
I know, he and I.
It's his favorite topic.
I know, he and I.
He's gonna wear a hoodie to the next board meeting.
Mr. Melendez?
Well.
Oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry.
Well, the only other thing, and I think we touched on it, was the Bright Futures. And I know there are other school boards in the state who have kind of taken a stance on this. And, I've been in contact with many of the parents, a couple that were here tonight, and they share my concern of those legislative discussions regarding the Bright Futures. And they've watered it down somewhat from when its original intent, but it's still as Dr. Pace says, they're tying the money to the state budget, which means that amount could change, annually. And the students, it keeps us, it leaves the students with some uncertainty. And then they're also wanting to cut that $600 stipend for the Florida academic scholars. So, I don't know, it would be nice if we could collectively stand united arm in arm and say, we would like to see as few changes as possible. I mean, this was lottery money, supposedly. So, but we discussed it quite a bit when the quorums were up, so.
Okay.
That's
Yeah, in speaking today of Neo City, and we talked about innovative awards and everything like that, and they've done things differently. I also sit on Congressman Soto's Veteran Advisory Board, and we had an update, and he gave us like a snippet, and I just wanted the rest of the board to know about that. There is no Space Force Junior ROTC program in existence yet. There's Army, Air Force, Space Force is the brand new military branch that was created, and he was thinking about proposing the very first one, and he's actually looking at Neo City as a possibility. So I just wanted kind of the board to know that, to see that, I thought that was amazing. I mean, first of all, it would be the first one to ever exist in America. I mean, forget the state of Florida. And obviously, we know Brevard County was fighting for Space Force headquarters. Now, I don't think the headquarters got accepted, but there's still a base anyway. And so there's that. And I want to be able to, I know there's some space nearby Neo City. I don't know if I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself, but the reality is, if we want to do that, we may have to look at talking to the county. I don't know who owns the adjacent land, how much land they'll need to get that in there, but I'm in favor I see Dr. Pace's hand up there.
We actually have enough land, and in the original design, another building was planned to potentially expand to a middle school concept. When we start thinking about the strategic plan, it's something that I may bring back to you along with Mr. Meachin and Mr. Siebel. We actually met this morning to talk about their concept that has an equity focus. So kind of changing the dynamics of how they recruit that incoming middle school group to kind of try to attract those kids in the middle that they then, through the inquiry-based instruction, could potentially be successful in the high school program as well. So I've got some ideas about that, and I will tell you that Mr. Meachin and Mr. Siebel are huge Star Wars fans. And when somebody mentioned to them the idea of having a Space Force ROTC, they're already going. So, we'll continue to track that. I'll keep the board
Well, and also comes with
informed,
federal
but
money
yeah,
too.
They're all in.
It wouldn't be, we wouldn't be paying for it out of pocket. The
No,
federal
we
government
can't,
has
yeah.
a thing to do that. And then also at Neo City, we talk about CTE programs. I just want the board to know, I really support a computer programming track there, because they're engineers, and I went there and I visited, some of their engineers code, right? But I went to Neo City, that's the first thing I thought about. I could see coders sitting in the little thing and writing along all day. And to implement that program wouldn't be that expensive, because it's just internet and a laptop. You know what I mean?
They've got a pretty strong computer program right now.
Correct, but they don't have a computer programming, they have a cybersecurity program, but not a computer programming track. And the good thing about it, the computer programming track, you don't have to hire that many new teachers, because computer programming is basic for some of the other programs. So the teacher can say, okay, computer programming 101 gets filtered into the other classes, and then the ones that are specifically in computer programming can go all the way to program completion. So I just think that's something that we should really explore. If Neo City's out there, the first thing I thought of when I walked in that building is, man, coders should sit down and just write code all day, because that's the proper environment for it. And the fact that we don't have a computer programming program at Neo City is like hard for me to believe, and I would love to see us create that program.
Can you do some homework on that, Mr. Melendez, because I do know that some of their engineering does involve coding, along with their cybersecurity program, but we'll certainly double back and follow up. One of the other things that, Congressman Soto has just done with some community project initiatives, to potentially be able to start and strengthen apprenticeships programs there, and also strengthen the teacher instructional best practices and sharing, because that was always the vision, was that the things that we're doing there in terms of inquiry-based teaching and learning, we could share across the district so that teachers could embrace that on a larger scale for all students, because all students want that deep level of student engagement. So we're exploring a couple of options there, but I'll bring that back to you.
Thank you, Dr. Pace. Thank you, board.
All right, got a bunch of different comments. Are there any other comments for the board?
Our student representative did not make it tonight. Okay. At this point then, I think we will recess for an executive session and we will adjourn this meeting at the end of the executive session upstairs.